Well, looks like we've got a full panel here, or at least most of us. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 voting members. So I'm gonna kick the meeting off and get going with this. I would like to call to order the Town of Cohasset Conservation Commission meeting. Today is Thursday, June 11th, 2020. It is now 7 o'clock. This meeting is being performed remotely via the Zoom platform. We have in attendance this evening, and I'll do this by roll call. I, myself, Jay Pimpari, Chair, aye, or present, I should say. Chris?
Chris McFarland, present.
James?
James Roseback, present.
Marianne?
Marianne Weatherall, present.
Tricia?
Hi, Tricia Corcoran Grady, present.
And our associate Kathleen?
Kathy Berrigan, present.
Great. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 voting members this evening, and our associate. We do have a full quorum. It looks like we might be, hopefully we'll not be having any IT issues here. If for some reason at all I get lost on this, since Eric is not in attendance, I'm going to turn it over to you if I get lost on the screen here, and you can take it away. If there
Okay.
needs to be screen, I'm going to share my screen throughout the evening here with the applicants and engineers. But if for some reason I do get kicked off here or anything happens, I'll turn it over to you to chair the rest of the meeting. And Jeff, you can share your screen in the event that that happens, but hopefully it doesn't. So,
Jay, I did
Yes.
see, I saw Alex's name was up there for a minute and now it disappeared. So I don't know if he was joining us or not, but he was up there for a minute.
okay. I'll watch the panelists, and Jeff, if you see any Alex or Eric come in, just let me know so we can make their announcement and
Okay.
so it's not midstream here through anything. Okay, first item of business is at 7 o'clock. It's an NOI for 100, 102, 104 Howard Gleason Road, and I'm going to pull up the reading to the notice of public hearing in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Cohasset Wetlands Bylaw and the Cohasset Stormwater Bylaw. The Cohasset Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Thursday, June 11th, 2020 at 7 p.m. via remote participation on a Zoom platform for notice of intent 20-14 for applicant Norman Hermans to remove invasive vegetation at 100, 102, 104 Howard Gleason Road. So with that, hi, John.
Good evening, Jay, member of the commission.
If it's okay with you, John, I'm going to share my screen and pull up the site diagram. Hopefully that would be of use. Is that the direction you want to go?
That'd be great. Thank you.
Jeff, you got to make me host or co-host again. I've been disabled here. If you could make me host or co-host.
Okay, should be all set.
Okay. Let me know when that comes across. Come across now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm just going to give a quick background on the project. This site was originally in front of the commission in 2015 for thinning and pruning vegetative invasive growth removal notice of intent. And that was a notice of intent that was given a 5-year lifespan through February of 2020. In the fall of 2019, the owner had done already the thinning and pruning over the previous years, but in the fall of 2019, proceeded to mow down the Phragmites stand patch that was adjacent to Howard Gleason Road. And in doing so, he also removed about 10 trees in that process. The commission issued an enforcement action against him on that, and we were asked to file a new notice of intent for the work because the old notice of intent was about to expire, and it was thought best to file a new notice of intent. So that was done back in the fall, but subsequent to that, DEP contacted us and said that in order to get a permit issued for this type of work, you need to file an ecological restoration project via a notice of intent. What that is it's a notice of intent that also includes publication in the Environmental Monitor, which triggers a more extensive agency review throughout the Commonwealth, and I'm not sure if it goes to any federal agencies as well, but it's issued, it's a publication that gets noticed for a couple months, and then after that time passes, then a hearing can get scheduled. Well, by the time the hearing was able to get scheduled, we ran into the COVID-19 outbreak, so that further delayed the opening of this hearing this evening. So here we are, resuming, I guess, the deliberations for what started somewhat in the fall. So what we've done since then is we did file the ecological restoration. The only comments we received back, and we actually spoke to the Division of Marine Fisheries, Eileen Feeney, was that she had reviewed the application and had no comments regarding the proposed activity. We also reached out to 2 ecological restoration firms to get some idea of means and methods as to what is the most appropriate way and effective way to eradicate Phragmites. And they both came back with a similar, almost identical approach, quite frankly, which was it's a 3-year process, and it includes mowing, treating, cutting, treating, and then coming back and doing it for the subsequent 2 years. Their success rate is about 80% after year 1, 90% after year 2, 95% after year 3. And by the second year, they see that the monoculture of this invasive plant is substantially reduced, and then the native plants start to recolonize after about 2 years. And so they're both approaches were, and this is land stewardship out of Turner Falls and Wilkinson Ecological Design out of Orleans. Their methods are to use an approved aquatic herbicide that they have to get a specific license to use annually through DEP, which DEP mentioned in their issuance of the DEP number. And these aquatic herbicides are they're not threatening to wildlife. They're a type of herbicide that sticks to the soil very well, and then it degrades it biodegrades through the soil in short order. But what it does, it specifically targets the roots of these plants. It's a glyphosate substance, a mix of glyphosate and another mixture of glyphosate, which is a chemical that's been around for about 50 years to use in these aquatic type environments. It's an agricultural herbicide. What it does basically is it stunts the protein generation in these plants so that they can't reproduce. The bylaw itself expressly prohibits the use of herbicide in Section 39, absent express waiver from the Commission for good cause shown. And it further states that the intent being that any and all projects or activities proposing pesticides or herbicide use or potentially leading to such use be subject to regulation under the bylaw. So I think there is an opportunity under the bylaw to use something that's proven to be effective as long as it's a regulated use. And what we're looking at in this particular application would be something that did require a specific license from DEP. It's been time tested to be safe in an aquatic environment. And more importantly, or as importantly, is that it's the most effective way to eradicate this invasive growth. So just real quick, with invasive growth, really the 3 big things that it does is it creates this monoculture that just deprives any potential for native plants to colonize. It deprives the habitat of the native flora, and also it deprives the habitat from a food source as well. And then lastly, it becomes a fire hazard at its full growth of the stand. So real quick, the plan would be to, again, under this particular scenario, would be to try to mow it at the time that it's most effective to weaken the stand, which is typically at the end of July or shortly before the end of July, after the tassels come out, which is the sprout at the top of the plant that most of them generate. That's the best time to weaken the plant, and then it gets applied with the herbicide. And then in September, they come back and they do more specific treatments, and then they'll restart the program in the following year. So that's the project in a nutshell.
John, how is it applied? The herbicide? Is it sprayed or how do you
It's
apply it?
mostly wiped. It depends on the area of the stands, but
Mhm.
if it's sprayed, it's usually with the back. It's highly selective and targeted application. But after they cut it, they actually will drip it into the stem, individual stems, and or wipe stems.
So it's
They
a
actually want to hit
very hand
every single
process.
stand.
It's a very slow hand, by hand process is done.
Yes. Even the mowing has to be done by a specialized mower that these firms use. They're a low pressure so that there's not a lot of compaction on the soil when they're cutting the stands.
Mm-hmm.
So
And you expect in 3 years that the native plants will start to return?
they think usually they see after the second year, but it's a 3-year process to eradicate to get to 95%. And then it's a continuous maintenance at a much lower activity threshold at that point.
And is the homeowner then willing to keep this up long-term, like
Yeah, that's the commitment for
the
this.
maintenance plan for long-term?
Right.
John, any idea of how much herbicide would actually need to be applied to the site?
I can get that information, Jay. My plan was tonight to introduce the project, and then maybe at the next hearing, I'd like to actually get a habitat management plan select one of these firms and submit that to the commission, so you have a narrative of what their protocol would be, and get some of the more detailed answers like that.
Yeah, questions like as Marianne brought up the whole mowing, you know, I haven't been, I've seen just the area in front across the street from the yacht club, and you know, the pictures that we have, and I was talking to Jeff earlier about when those pictures were taken. They were like a couple months ago that we have on the OneDrive, and it almost looks like a dirt patch field out there. But if you went out there today, my God, the Phragmites are like, they're, I don't know, 6-7 feet tall. It's unbelievable how much they've just taken over out there. It looks like two different 20 years later, and it's only been 2 months later. So I'd be curious to know how, you know, how it's mowed, what they do with all of the material after it's mowed. Is it hauled off? You know, how are they going to haul it off, etc.
Yeah.
And then, you know, and any other details you could provide. I do see in the back there, my eyes are squinting here. It's like about 130-something thousand square feet, which is like a little over 3 acres of land. It's quite a decent size of land back there.
Yeah, it's not all Phragmite though. The Phragmite is probably less than 2 acres of what we've calculated for all 3 of these sort of areas.
And then you mentioned 10 trees were removed. Is there a plan to replant them?
Yeah, so the plan right now is to put back 15 trees. So 1.5 times what was removed.
And where might they be planted?
They're planning to go back in the vicinity where they were removed, to the left of Howard Gleason Road. And we can
kind of up the
Also
hill.
supplement specific species. We put,
Yeah, so if everyone's looking at my screen here, this is the yacht club right here. This is the parking lot. So right across street from the yacht club, this was the area where the trees were removed as it stated on the plan, and then to be replaced with 15 new trees in that area. And again, that's really right across the street from the yacht club. And again, if you went out there today, you'd see it just completely overtaken by vegetation now.
yeah, see what the problem was with the homeowner did and whoever he had work, we weren't aware that this was done at the time it was done. We found out about it after the fact, but when you mow down Phragmites at the wrong time, you can actually make them stronger. You have to specifically cut them at the right time when the plant is at its weakest, as I mentioned, after it sort of foliates, not in the winter or late fall, where cutting it down will actually potentially allow the plant to grow back stronger. That's timing is important with how this gets done.
Right.
Can I just interrupt with administrative note?
Yeah,
I
go
just
ahead,
want
Jeff.
to
Yeah.
acknowledge that Eric Eisenhower has joined the meeting. He's been here for about 4 minutes.
Okay. And so,
Okay.
John, you need a variance then for section 39 to use the pesticide to.
I think we do, yes. So that's where I think
Well, you would need
it would be helpful
Go ahead,
to
John.
have a habitat management plan from a professional that articulates the good cause for using an herbicide in this particular application.
Do you know when, John, do you think we would be able to have that?
I think I could get it done probably within the next week or two. I won't be at the next hearing. I won't be available to attend the next hearing. So the soonest I could be back would be the first hearing in July. But I could get that probably by next week.
Okay.
I think a detailed plan of the scheduling and what's going to be used would be helpful.
John, is there any particular reason why, I know there's an old order of conditions, but this whole area out here in the back, and again, I know it's not the whole 3 acres, but a good maybe 2 acres or so where Phragmites may be removed. Is there any particular reason that all that wants to be removed out of there or treated? It doesn't seem like it's really blocking anyone's view or a nuisance at all. It just seems like it's just there. It's just in some really open space. So I'm just curious as to the rationale of wanting to get back in there where it really can't be seen much, if at all, from anywhere.
Right. So a couple of reasons. One is just honestly due to the pure nature of the lack of habitat quality that this monoculture results in. It's just, it completely overtakes any high quality native habitat whatsoever. So once it's there, it has no value. And it, like I said, one of the things is it becomes a fire hazard, but more so as well is that we are fortunate that we have a break in the upland between these two stands, but
Yeah.
spreads, the vegetation does spread. So the idea would be to eliminate all of it within proximity to itself so that there's less chance for it to recolonize. That's really it. It's really
And do
not, it's
you
not a view.
have a, yeah.
Go ahead.
Do you have a good feel on the first survey as far as the bordering property goes here, bordering the Boston College property, or the trustees of Boston College that goes along this line here, or would there be anything going up in that area? It seems like a pretty fine line.
It actually comes up in slope, fairly steep. Not sure if it's at the actual toe of that slope, but that grade comes up fairly dramatically up to the Bellarmine property.
Mm-hmm. And so this is all pretty much in the BVW. It's in the wetland itself.
Yeah, that's where Phragmites grows.
Yeah, right. So you're thinking, well, certainly not today by the recent rains we had, but in a perfect world, maybe late July.
Yes,
The proposed would be to optimum time to cut it back?
to begin it, yeah, to begin the work.
Yeah.
And that's when they think that the Phragmite will be the weakest?
Yes, after the tassels come out.
And
So-
that's like the tops on top? Or is that when it starts?
After that happens, the plant is at its most vulnerable stage.
Mhm.
So they cut it off and then treat it with all of the product.
Okay.
So it's the most effective time to do it because the plant is at its weakest state.
Okay.
John, I'm sorry,
Jeff,
John?
Yes,
Eric here. I'm sorry for being late. I didn't get an invitation, so I had to, took a while to get organized. Do you expect this project to succeed initially, or is this something that's going to go on for 4 or 5 years?
I mentioned earlier, Eric, the professionals say that they get 80% success rate after the first year, but it is a 3-year process. That
Yeah.
They expect this to be a 3-year process. That after 2 years, they're at about 90%, and that's when the native population will start to recolonize within the area. And then after year 3, they're at 95%. But it is something that will take some level of maintenance.
And the pesticide you're going to use, John, is selective and is only going to damage the Phragmites and nothing else?
Correct. Yeah, it's an aquatic herbicide that has to get approved by DEP. It's essentially this glyphosate is what they use, or a combination of other chemicals and glyphosate. It's been around for about 50 years, and it's
Roundup, John.
It's rodeo, actually. Yeah.
I know, but it's the active ingredient Roundup. Lead's carcinogen and all the other problems related to it. So this is a very controversial. It's a controversial use, the glyphosate. It's been banned in California, I think. So
So is that going to affect any of the wildlife on that property?
it'll kill anything it touches.
Well,
Living creatures?
I'm not sure about that, but
No, I mean, John, any plant life.
any plant
that
life.
glyphosate touches, whether it be your Phragmites or trees or bushes or weeds or whatever, they're going to perish. And you can read your own research on the negative effects of glyphosate on fish and small mammals and insects and things like that. It's very controversial. I wouldn't say it's necessarily something that should be banished, but it certainly is not something which gets much favorable press nowadays.
Well, there's plenty of information out there about it. So I think
Yeah, I know.
what I said
Most
earlier.
most of the new information is negative.
okay, so time out, guys, here. So I think what John had agreed to a little while ago was to provide a written report from either an engineer or someone more familiar with this, an expert in the field that would hopefully answer a lot of the questions that we may have here. So I think that some of the questions that we have are hopefully answered, and we'll evaluate that report when it comes in, and happy to talk about that at the next meeting.
Yeah, and I'll see if they can attend as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Jeff, any comments on this? I know there's really kind of what I'm looking at here is 2 parts. One is what we have as follow-up from the enforcement order on the replanting of the trees along next to the yacht club, and then we have the second part of it is the removal of the invasives, Phragmites, etc. Any comments on your end?
Well, my main question was, why do they want to do it? I guess John answered that pretty much, because like you said, it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's in like a depression area. Nobody can really see it. But I think a lot of the questions, like you just said, Jay, whenever he has the professional give us the habitat management plan, I think that'll answer a lot of the questions, or at least it will provide more questions. But I think, I don't really have much to add other than, once we get that and read that report, and then I think we can just move on from there.
Okay.
I'd like to say one thing. The expert you're going to get, John, could you make sure when he makes his presentation, he presents both sides of the argument? We just don't want to hear the industry side. There's a lot of controversial science against the use of glyphosate in these types of settings. And I would certainly like to hear that as well as the positive side. Please.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And, ultimately it's the commission's choice to approve, disapprove, require another technique, and leave it up to the applicant if they want to proceed. I didn't stop at one professional. That's why I wanted to talk to, there's not many, unfortunately, and they're not easy to get a hold of, but they both came back with the same answer. But I'm happy to do that, and I will encourage them to.
Okay.
I think it might.
And it's also
It also
within
be-
the commission's will to actually go out and have a third-party independent review of this as well, if we felt the need to. I don't think we need to do that right now because we obviously don't have the review or the technical report in front of us. So I think we'll wait on that, but you can, Eric, if that's something that the commission feels necessary based on the report that we received, that's certainly something that we could explore.
Okay.
Okay.
Somebody else, was Chris talking, somebody talking there? My screen, I don't know. Is everybody seeing a complete split screen of all of the panelists, or are you just seeing a one-by-one version still?
I have a split.
Okay, all right, we'll talk about that later.
John, the other thing that would be helpful is if we understood what's the likelihood of the Phragmites just repopulating the area.
Mhm.
It seems pretty conclusive that in Cohasset, when you have this condition, that the Phragmites is going to move in. So it would be useful to know, is this something that's going to take 4 years and then only be there for 5 years and then it starts all over again, or is there a long-term remedy?
Right.
I think that's important as well, and I think that sort of plays into the methods that you use to, initially eradicate it.
What does that mean, John?
John,
It means that you can, try to burn it or cut it, and you can use different methods to try to repopulate, but you want to take the best method to eradicate and have a maintenance plan actually going forward as well.
John, as a result of the approval back in 2015, was any work done out there at all? Was there this phase one or any
They
mowing,
did
cutting? Was anything done after the approval?
Yeah, they did some clearing, mostly outside of the 50 and 100 foot buffer. It was mostly higher, just to get a lot of the understory thinned out. That was the majority of the work that was done. There was no effort to eradicate the Phragmite until the owner took that action in the fall.
Okay.
Aggressively.
John, has there been anywhere else in Cohasset where Phragmites has been attacked and successfully defeated in a major way?
Yeah, so this one firm that I actually obtained reference from was from a family on Jerusalem Road that had a smaller area. It was adjacent to Little Harbor off of Gammons Road, and they had a successful project with this. Another project that we were involved with was in Hingham, on Hingham Harbor. Same firm, same method that they used. We've also were involved in another project for Hingham that used the tarping, which is a method that was used in the past. It's mostly for smaller areas, but it's a black membrane that's used in the late summer after that cutting happens before the end of late July, and it essentially heats up and burns the root system. That ended up coming back. That was actually in front of the Derby Street shops, between the jewelry and the entrance to the Derby Street. There was a large pasture, and it lasted for a while, but it came back.
Is that similar to people using cardboard? We've heard of a method of cardboard to kill root systems like that?
I'm not familiar with cardboard.
Okay. All right, so this report or this review is going to take at least a week or so, John. If we were to continue this hearing, Jeff, when is our first hearing in July, given we have the 4th of July week going on?
It's July 9th.
July 9th. Is there any further discussion on this before we talk about it? It doesn't sound like we're going to make any decisions. Like we have some to-dos on behalf of the applicant, and I'm getting a sense here we want to continue this hearing. John, if we were to continue the hearing till July 9th, would that give you enough time, at least to get that report in by, say, at least by July 1st, so the commission could review that and give us 9 days to review it?
Yes, I'd try to get
Or
that
do you
in.
need more time? Okay. All right. Any further comments on this one?
No.
Okay. So why don't we continue this hearing until July 9th? If everyone's in agreement with that.
Yep.
Okay. All right, great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks.
next item of business is for 560 Jerusalem Road, to the record, the notice. Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Cohasset Wetlands Bylaw and the Cohasset Stormwater Bylaw. The Cohasset Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Thursday, June 11, 2020 at 7 p.m. via remote participation on a Zoom platform for a request for determination of applicability 20-04 from applicant Catherine and Dan Buckley for proposed improvements to lawn area in the buffer zone to an intermittent stream at 560 Jerusalem Road. And Jeff, if you could make everyone participants here, that would be great.
Yeah, we have Dave Crispin with us now.
Here. On my. Okay. Hold on, everybody, while I try and pull up a couple things. I know we have a PowerPoint presentation here that I had loaded up, and now it's gone, and now I have to load it all up again, so I apologize for that.
Dave, we can't hear you.
Oh, bear with me, everyone, while I pull this up. Technology is wonderful.
Can you try it again, Dave? We still can't hear you.
Oh. Maybe come back and re-enter.
Where'd you go?
Screen.
You're there. Still
Can you
can't hear you.
I still can't hear David.
It keeps flashing up that you're muted.
Yeah, he's unmuted right now.
All right. Did you want to put the list, Jeff?
What, Jay? I'm sorry, you're breaking up a little bit.
Is this C Engineer 69?
You were so broken up, I couldn't understand you.
What are we trying to, hold on, allowing Dan and Kathleen Buckley to talk? Dan and Kathleen, can you hear us? I can hear you now. Can you hear me now, Kathleen, Dan?
I don't see them anymore.
I see them, but they're showing as being muted.
Okay. Can you hear us now?
All right.
Hi, can you hear us?
Yes.
Oh,
Hi.
yeah, there we go.
Sorry about
Great.
that.
All right. No problem at all. So just for the record, if you can announce yourself and what I've done, hopefully everybody can see I've loaded up this PowerPoint presentation. And
Yeah, so-
I assume that you wanted to work off of that.
Yes, so
Is that correct?
announce ourselves. We're Catherine Buckley and Dan Buckley at 560 Jerusalem Road. And yes, I believe that Dave Crispin wanted to work off of this. Is David, can we hear him now?
No, we cannot.
Okay.
Let's see, is he trying
Who
to
are
dial
we
back in?
trying to bring on here?
C engineer 69, I think it is.
Yep, they're allowed to talk. Maybe
Yeah,
they're
he's-
on mute. I don't know. See, Engineer 69, if you're out there, give us, let us know through the Q&A if you can hear us. You're live here.
Perhaps
can
he can
Muted.
dial in.
But we can't hear him.
Maybe he can dial in instead of be on video.
I'll email him right now.
Jeff, do you want to give everybody the phone number over the phone here? So that
Yeah, I'm just going to call him in a second.
We can also circle back to him. 3:39, take a few minutes.
Jay, you're completely broken up.
Brother, can you hear me?
Kind of.
Can you hear me now?
Kind
You're
of.
not very clear, Jay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, but broken up.
Yes, no? All right. All right, I'll tell you what, why don't we move to 339 Jerusalem Road and then we will circle back to 560.
Okay, thank you. We'll try to get David on in the meantime.
Are you with us? Okay, yeah, so don't go anywhere. We'll just, we'll put you on hold for a couple minutes and then we'll, when we're done with 339, we'll circle back.
Okay, and we'll try and get David on the
Thank you.
line in a second. Thank you.
Yeah, I just talked to David. He said he was going to try to log out and then come back in. That might help. That's helped people before who it wasn't working for.
Okay.
You're breaking up there, Jeff. Sorry. All right. Move on to 339 Jerusalem. People sharing my screen correctly.
Yeah.
All right. This is interest. All right, bear with me, everybody. Technology is not our best friend tonight. All right. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Okay. This is 339 Jerusalem Road. This is a continued hearing from a previous hearing in May. Just to bring everybody up to speed, the commission did a site visit out there sometime last week, I believe last Thursday or Friday. Many of the members on here tonight were present. This is a revised plan. Hopefully I have the right revised plan up here now. If there's something else you want me to put up here, John or Sean, please let me know. I think this is probably the plan you want us to work off. If there's something else, please let me know. But I'm going to leave that right there and turn it over to you. And if you want me to share anything else, just let me know.
Great. Well, thank you for putting up the plan, Jay. Again, members of the commission, my name is John Cavanero from Cavanero Consulting in Norwell, and I'm here on behalf of the landowners, the Means at 339 Jerusalem Road. As you mentioned, we had a site visit after the last hearing, and I think it was very helpful to see a site in person. Sometimes it's hard to differentiate some of the layers on these drawings in 2 dimensions. So we were able to identify that bituminous paved area. We looked at the existing retaining wall, the mature hackberry tree. We looked at the terrace area and the reconfiguration with respect to the positioning of the existing stairs. We looked at the deck. We taped that off, and I think we had a good feel for the scope and the size of the project. Throughout the discussion, we sort of got a sense that it may be beneficial to, we originally were not encroaching within the limit of the beach, but what we did was we revised the plan slightly to extend the separation between the back of the beach and the face of the new retaining wall. So essentially we brought it deeper into the property by a couple of feet. Originally we were sort of citing that large outcrop as the face of the new retaining wall and having an arch between the ledge outcroppings. So what we've done is we've sort of kicked it into that large rock outcrop to create a little bit more separation, again, from the back of the beach to the face of the wall. So that was the initial change from the first plan that went back to the commission, which was requested at the last hearing to put more detail on the landscape plan so that it was clear the scope of work with respect to the amount of plantings, the hardscape, the specific alignment of the retaining walls and the deck, the footing configuration, and the profile of the deck and the sand area. So I think with that, we have met what we thought were the productive feedback that we received from the commission since the first hearing. I want to add one more thing, if I may. I was able to meet with the Director of Engineering and DPW, Brian Joyce, on the site to look at the drainage pipe, and he was amenable to the proposal to ensure protection of the pipe, but he thought that overall the plan was a good plan.
Okay. So John, you know, I'll circle in that. So that pipe is that pipe gonna? So just to go back, and thank you for revising this plan a little bit. So the cobbled, or I guess the boulder wall, riprap wall that we're calling now, originally was more along the lines of out in this direction, and you remember the ledge outcrops that were in this area now. So that wall has been moved back a few feet there and now wraps around in this direction. Correct. Is that now the pipe, is that just going to daylight out a little bit here, that outfall pipe, that storm drain? Is that just going to daylight a little bit, so it's got about 3 or 4 feet of clearance now from the riprap wall?
Yeah, so right now it actually runs alongside the existing retaining wall. So the plan is
that right, little trough, yeah.
Right. It's not going to change, but what we're going to do is put protection around the pipe and put more riprap right at the pipe end to add some more dissipation of the energy that comes off the flow from the pipe. And also the plan is to clean up that stand of Phragmites that are right at the end of the pipe.
And what's the protocol for removing those Phragmites?
That would be, because it's such a small patch, the plan would be to just pull those.
Okay.
They come back?
Well, hopefully with sort of the cleanup of the area and adding some more protection at the end of the pipe. I don't know how long they've been there. I mean, but the plan is to really have a little bit more maintenance there than what has been done, which has been nothing on the property.
John, did you ever determine what kind of tree, or Sean, what tree was near the pipe? There was a large tree at the end.
No, Marianne, this is Sean speaking. We did not as of yet, but what we'll do is we'll do an inventory of all of that plant material that will lie on the coastal bank side of the proposed stone wall, the proposed seawall. We'll catalog that and make sure that we know exactly what everything is, certainly keeping all the native plants that are there. We intend to keep that large kind of shrub, small tree. It was a little bit over toward the, I'll call it the north side of where that existing Phragmites was. So we intend to hold on to that plant.
That would be
Anything that's on that side of the wall, we'll look at. There are some other invasives in addition to, there's some honeysuckle and there's some other invasives in addition to the Phragmites, but we'll hold on to all the native plants, indigenous plants that are there.
John, it is my understanding that the Phragmites will prosper where you have the proper environmental conditions. How are you going to change those? How are you going to prevent the Phragmites from coming back in the future? You have the fresh water source, it's soggy. You have an area that's not going to be tended. What's to keep the Phragmites at bay?
I think honestly, hand pulling them on a regular basis. I don't think they've ever been touched, ever. There's been no maintenance out here whatsoever.
Yeah.
And it's almost akin to cleaning the beach. I mean, you see what kind of debris and refuse is out there. This property has new ownership, and the plan is to maintain it and rehabilitate it to keep it in better condition. So everything takes maintenance, but the patch is, I think, small enough that it's manageable. It's not acres of Phragmites like the last job that we had.
John, looking at the diagram we have here, could you just describe where the edge of the asphalt is? Which I can visualize because we were there, but I have problems seeing that same edge in the drawing.
Sure. Sean, do you want to, can I grab the screen? I'm not sure if.
I don't know
If you could show where the edge is and also the rock outcropping.
Yep.
That was below that. Oh, I've just lost everything.
Yep. No, hold on a minute. I have to do some. Who wants to share this? John or Sean is going to share?
I'm happy to show the edge of the outcrop and the edge of the pavement.
Sounds good.
I don't know if I can share that with you. I physically can't do that here with this remote platform. So,
Justin, do you have a good feel? Do you have a good feel for where that is, Justin, at all?
I can talk you through on the plan if you like.
Yep. Let me just back.
That's scary.
Okay.
That was scary.
Okay.
Can you see my screen again?
Yep. The cursor right now is on the seam of the asphalt, between the seam of the asphalt and the ledge outcrop.
Okay.
So the asphalt runs from the end of the wooden ramp, which is at the top of the right there. Yep.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it goes from, that's the wooden ramp. So if you go to the end of the hockey stick on the wooden ramp, start right there.
Yep.
That heavier line that you see running independent of the contour, that's the edge of the pavement. Turns left, yep, exactly. And then goes up the page, correct.
Okay.
And then over. That's the edge of the pavement.
And the rock, John, is the hash area
Yes,
below top of seawall 24.
exactly. That's the ledge outcrop.
All right.
Yeah. So for people that were out there on the, and I'm happy to go back and actually I could probably show the photographs if that's of help to anybody. Let me know if you want me to show the photographs. I can actually show the photographs on site. Would that give help to anybody?
It'd be good, Jay, if you could. Please.
Yeah, bear with me here. I'm gonna, hopefully you can see.
There we go.
Yep. So there's probably a better one here, but I'm just going to stop right there. And when we make a mental note when we go back to the diagram, which John referred to that as the hockey stick.
Yeah.
This was the ramp that comes down and comes over, and the pavement kind of follows that all up along in this area here. I'm going to jump over and see there are some other ones as well. And then, of course, you remember this is where the Phragmites were, and the outfall pipe. It kind of is over here somewhere on the other side of that wall. And then, so here's a better one.
Yeah.
So here was that ledge outcrop. So as far as the new stone wall, or I guess we'll call it boulder wall, is what we're referring to it, John. Does it start right down here at the end of the hockey stick?
A little further down, well, the steps start there, Jay. They go down, and then the wall is at the end of the stairs, and then it'll cut across sort of the first third of that boulder.
Yeah, not behind the boulder, through the boulder.
Yeah, through it.
Is this just all, maybe there's a picture, is just this kind of all rock that's not so much pavement there?
Yeah,
Correct.
it's just broken up material.
Yeah. Let's see if there's pictures here. Okay. All right, I'm just gonna try and go back to the diagram here. Okay, so right, so there's the end of the hockey stick, and it looks like this is the actual boulder that was there, the pavement. And so it's been pushed back a little bit in this direction. Okay.
Correct.
Not much.
I like that. It's better.
Any comments from the commission?
Well, I'm going to repeat what I said both last meeting and on site, and that is that the product that the owner and his team are receiving per this plan in a way for the removal of the asphalt, it just seems like an kind of an excessive amount of work in the 50-foot buffer. And I understand that it's been disturbed. It's been disturbed to the line of the asphalt and to the line of the ramp. But the project's extending far beyond that, with quite a bit of disruption in the removal of the wall, and so I'm a little hesitant to kind of just accept it as it is.
I think it's an improvement because it was dilapidated, it was crumbling, or it is crumbling. It's a very disturbed area. I think any improvement would be better than to have pavement crumbling down and the wall possible to collapse. I think this is.
I think the issue, Marianne, is really, I think we're doing more than just replacing the wall here, as Chris was saying. We're taking the natural area below the asphalt and and converting that from something which is wild and natural into a beach, a sandy beach, which is now to the west of the boulders. Am I incorrect, John?
Well, we're actually removing retaining wall that's failing and eliminating lawn that's adjacent to the beach as well. And we're creating actually more resource area potential for the beach to grow to the face and the toe of the new retaining wall. So,
John, I was talking about to the west of that and south. If you look to the right of the asphalt, there's an area there which is sort of natural wild growth between what was the former asphalt and now the new boulder wall. There's
I'm
an
happy
area
to
there.
go back to the photograph to look exactly at what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, hold on. Let me go back to the photos. Let's delete the photos here.
Oh, that was fine.
Yeah, so,
This
so
one?
this-
So the
this
boulders
is-
are going to start right along, let's say, the L. Is that not correct? What are we
Forward,
thinking?
If you
right?
can see my,
Right, yeah,
that's where the wall's going, right there.
the stone, all the boulders it is. I don't think that, and I don't think that the beach will, I think the beach where the stone beach is now, I think it will repopulate into stone. I don't see them getting a beach there.
No, that's not what Eric was referring to. He's referring to what gets filled in behind the wall. When the wall gets built, the
Mhm.
idea is that there would be a sandy beach behind it.
Yeah.
I would propose that the boulder wall run along the edge of what is currently asphalt, and the hockey stick runs straight across to where the crumbling wall is by the Canada geese. Come straight across and leave all that, the naturalness and the wild growth down below, which is part of the natural flora of our beach.
I'm in agreement with you. I just think overall, this is a better plan than before. Maybe you don't agree, but I just think it's crumbling. The stone walls coming down. I think it's just much.
You mean
better.
the concrete wall?
Yes.
so I'll chime in here. You know, my feeling here is obviously clearly there's a lot of work that's being done in the 50-foot buffer zone. However, you know, and don't have to get into the long dialogue here about the 50-foot buffer zone and requiring variance and the amount of work here. I think that there are some things that I see here that are certainly are an improvement. You have, which is very unfortunate, and we saw this on the site at, was it 485 or 495 Jerusalem up the road a little bit a couple months back, where there was also a storm drain from up on the hill that unfortunately went through the owner's property and was affecting the rock wall out there. So, you know, to rebuild this wall here, I really have no problem with that. I think that, you know, cutting it back a little bit it is probably great in giving back some of the beach here a little bit. I think certainly the removal of the pavement here is, I think we're all in agreement with that, is a huge benefit to the environment and will restore, not allow that asphalt or any more crumbling or rock, etc., degradation to continue to occur just right out onto the beach there. There has been some improvement with some native plantings here. We haven't really talked about that too much, but maybe I'll turn it over to Sean a little bit to talk a little bit more about that. But there are plantings. There's a nice little slope here, some plantings, etc. There's that old this hockey stick here, an old dilapidated, probably pressure treated, no doubt, arsenic laden wooden stairway that's hazardous to anyone's health that's going to be now removed. And so I think there's an overall improvement there, you know, and we're basically, we're giving them the deck and it all really in exchange for the pavement. Having said all that, I would also, you know, agree to the comments earlier about the extent of the boulder wall. And, I would be willing to support this project if I saw the wall kind of push back closer to where the pavement already was. I think we're giving away a lot of that, and there's some natural vegetation that's on the other side here. Personally, if I saw this rock wall come back a little bit, probably to, a little off the edge of the pavement, not, 6-8 feet off the edge of the pavement, I would be happy with that, and I could support the project if I saw the boulder wall being cut back a little bit. So those are my thoughts.
Right, I
I
think,
don't know.
what do you get for working in the 50 is, I mean, you get a lot of improvements, but we need to have some more native plants. So I agree with that. I understand your point of bringing back the wall more.
One thing I would like to mention is we did add, since the first meeting when we put a larger scale landscape plan together with more detail on it, or at least more detail visible to the human eye. We added another about 370 square feet of plantings in the area at the Hackberry, exactly where the cursor is right now.
Yeah.
We had that for the site meeting, but we did not have that at the last meeting. So we kind of doubled the amount of plantings, if not a little bit more from what was shown next to the deck from the previous thing. And that I just thought we should at least note that that hadn't been discussed.
Yeah, I think that, again, that's another improvement to this all. I don't want to set a precedence about, rock walls here personally. I know we treat each one of these applications on its own merit, but, we did have the rock wall up the road a little bit where we did approve that. Again, there were extenuating circumstances given the storm drain. There's a storm drain here. And my comment is that I'd be ready to approve the project if I just saw the stone wall come back a little bit. There's going to be a lot of sandy fill in there. I'm not sure the exact amount. It looked like it was 2 to 3 feet, roughly, give or take, spread across this area. Certainly, it's in the hundreds of cubic yards of material being brought in. I don't know if anybody has the exact number of cubic yards of fill that were being brought in, but it's certainly quite a bit. I know it's sand. And I think that if it would just, push back a little bit on maybe the other side of this ledge here, we're giving away, again, I'm willing to support the project if this rock wall were cut back just a little bit. That's all. And,
I'd be
closer
willing
to
to
existing.
support the project, Jay, if the rock wall was pushed back a lot. This is a project to remove some faulty, falling apart, unsafe, man-made materials. The asphalt, a wall. It's not a project, as I see it, justified in removing natural vegetation and converting it to beach. I would like to have that natural vegetation stay. And I see the natural vegetation running along the eastern edge of the crumbling asphalt, coming over to where the Canada geese are. And everything to the left of that, I think should stay the way it is. And obviously take the crumbling wall, and then you would have your boulders going out, replacing the crumbling wall that we see in the lower left-hand corner. That would eliminate the negative effects of the crumbling infrastructure that man has put in there.
Yeah, well, given that, I still think you're getting quite a bit of beach here, quite a bit of sandy area all along there. I will point out, yes, along this area there are some plantings that are being proposed, but that still allows for quite a bit of sandy beach here.
So what about if we can go back to the plan?
Yep.
So
Tell me when that's up.
right, it's up. So if we were to bring the wall back closer to where the stands are, what we'd want to do at the very least, if we brought it to the essentially the end of the ramp, to the back of the ledge, and brought it around in a similar shape and arc it back to the ledge, we would be equivalent of removing lawn in that existing wall to essentially close to what we would have between the edge of the pavement and call it whatever growth you'd want to the left of the wall. So I think that would be closer to a wash than bring it any further back. So we'd like to move forward with this because this project was in the making a long time ago, and we've been pushed off with the unfortunate pandemic. So we'd like to agree to an alignment of this. I think we're near the finish line. If we could agree to a conditioned revised plan in accordance with a relocated wall, we could have that back to Jeff and hopefully move forward.
So I'm amenable to that, John. Exactly what would you, before we, if we were to approve that and condition that, what exactly, where are you going here? As
So
far
we'd
as you
be-
can see my cursor.
We'd be running near the edge of the existing asphalt up to the ledge, and then following
Okay.
that alignment, which you have right there.
Yeah.
Keep going. And then starting to curve back to the ledge at the top of the, no, I would just keep the same, because now what we're doing is we're giving up all that lawn.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't want you to, I wouldn't want you to give this up.
Okay.
The pipe is
Yeah.
more exposed, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's really just this area. You know, you've actually have given up a little bit of lawn
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, that's what I
So,
was.
you know, I was personally okay, you know, with the rebuilding or the rehabbing of this wall in place. So you wouldn't lose anything over here because, as you know, there's a concrete wall that comes over, and then the concrete wall kind of comes back this way.
Right.
So I'm personally I'm okay with just the rehabbing of that wall in place. I applaud you for bringing that back. You know, I was not looking to have the wall come all the way back over where the existing lawn was. I was just more concerned about it down this way.
So
That's how I-
essentially, we're going to kick it back to the back of the ledge instead of the front of the ledge, and then
Yeah.
return it back.
Yeah.
Jay,
I'm
Jay,
okay. Yep.
on the top of your screen, do you have view options that you can give?
Yeah.
Is there one that says like allow viewer to annotate or something like that?
Hold on a minute. Let me on this share. Hold a second here. You know, tonight's a lot different than other nights on this. I would love to be able to share it. I don't have that capability here. Jeff, if you feel that, wait a minute.
Yeah, I don't know how to share that either, Jay.
It's
Okay.
you know,
Sorry.
again, I've built a million Zoom platforms and it's not allowing us to do it on. Yeah. Certainly something to look forward to or iron out here moving forward. Any comments on that? I mean, it sounds like, you know, we're close to trying to move this forward here with a condition, and I'm happy happy with that, and I'm good with that. John, how long? First of all, are there any comments to the proposal of having a revised plan based on the comments we've just discussed?
Jay, what you're saying is almost unintelligible.
I
Very good.
apologize for that.
There, you're doing
Can you
better.
hear me now?
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, that's good.
So, I am personally okay with having a specific condition, if this commission votes to approve this project, that a revised plan be submitted by within 7 days, we'll say, that is satisfactory to Jeff and the chair, and allowing the project to go forward. I'm okay with that based on the plan meeting the comments that we have already brought up and discussed over the past 20 or so minutes here. I'm okay with that. If the plan meets our satisfaction, then it continues to be approved. How do others feel about that?
I would be okay with that. I would like the condition that the existing vegetation be documented and actually whatever is being proposed to be removed, that it's clearly removed and we get a chance just to review that before final acceptance.
When you say documented, you mean photographed?
Well, when we were on site, there was the talk of, I think it's there's something growing right on the edge of the wall.
Yeah.
I can't remember what that was. A honeysuckle, I think.
Tree, end of the pipe.
There's a dogwood of some sort that's sitting right behind the upper bench, which would have to be removed in order for the wall to go in. So I'd just like rather than it kind of being, what's left is what's left, I'd like there to be some kind of a limit for what vegetation is going to be removed and what's going to remain. I mean, the whole intent of pulling this wall back is to say, that we're trying to preserve, a relatively, large area. It's probably close to 400 square feet of kind of beach, which has a kind of a plant community which is growing on it, and I think I'd like to see that when the project's over. We're losing a bunch kind of on the edge of the ledge at the bottom of the page, and there's going to be a section above the word top of seawall that's all lost. So I think what's left, I'd like to have some assurance that it's going to be left.
We can do that. We can document that. We would intend to document that for you.
I mean, even if it's as simple as a outline like you've done for ledge, just and a hatch over it that says this area of planting to remain or something like that.
Yep.
Yep. A limit of work.
I think we talked about that early on, that he was going to do that.
We did. That's acceptable.
Okay. All right, any further comments here?
Yeah, Jay, I would, I don't have the drawing anymore in front of me, but from the,
Let me share it
I
again.
think Paul's top, if I remember, was top of seawall going up to here we go. The area which is top of seawall right in the center, going north to the end of the arrow coming down limit of beach sand. That area there is just a complete void. I would like some definition as to what's in there now and what's going to be there in the future in terms of the vegetation,
Right.
and where that wall is going to be. It's an area that lacks definition right now, and I think we need some clarity as to what's going to be there afterwards.
Okay.
Including the new position of the boulders.
Correct.
Right, yeah, I have a couple of conditions here, which I'll restate in a minute, but before I do, I want to, Jeff, any additional comments?
No.
Any further comment? You know what I have not done here, and I apologize, but I don't see anything, and I know, Jeff, you're monitoring it too. If there's anybody from the public who would wish to comment on this application or any applications moving forward, please just do this through the chat box. Okay, and again, if there are any anonymous attendees in here, we don't take anonymous questions. Just please state your name for the record, please. I do see, is there an anonymous question there, Jeff? We'll just not even worry about that one.
Yeah, there were some questions
Okay.
about some other things, but nothing that pertained to this project.
Okay, all right. If anything does come up, obviously, on the project, I feel like an air traffic controller here with the screens flying around. All right, so, all right, I would like to move this and any further comment? Okay, Jay Pampari would like to make a motion to issue an order of conditions for the project at 339 Jerusalem Road with two specific conditions. And one, the first condition being a revised plan be submitted to the commission by June 18th. Specifically, one being the cutback of the wall based on the comments that were discussed tonight. And so the second condition also being a documentation of the removal or non-removal thereof of vegetation, etc., in the area along the beach area, etc. Basically, all the areas that we have discussed. I don't think we need to get into that anymore. So two conditions: a revised plan, and then the documentation of all that. Is that I don't have to get into that all over Sean and John. Is that pretty clear?
Yes.
Accurate.
Okay. So go, if there's any other condition there that I left out.
No, I was seconding your motion.
Okay, great. And then the plan be submitted to the commission by noon on 1 week for, actually, no, let's just make it close of business on June 18th, 1 week from tonight. And so long as that revised plan and documentation, et cetera, meets the satisfaction of the agent and the chair, the project will continue to move forward. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Marion Weatherald. Okay, we're gonna do this vote by roll call vote here. When I call your name, just please state your full name and yay or nay. Jay Pampari, yay. Chris?
Chris McFarland, yay.
Eric Eisenhower, no.
Okay, Marianne?
Marianne Weatherald, aye. Yay.
James?
James Roseback, yay.
Trish?
Trish, you're muted.
You with us?
Muted.
Muted.
Sorry, Trish Grady, yay.
Okay.
You there?
That vote passes. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That vote passes 4 to 1. Did I get that correct?
5 to 1.
5 to 1.
5 to 1. Missing somebody here. All right, that vote passes 5 to 1. We also need a variance. Jay Pampari would like to make a motion to approve issue a variance for the work at 339 Jerusalem Road.
Second.
Second, do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Chris McFarland. By roll call vote, Jay Pampari, aye. Chris?
Aye.
Chris?
Chris McFarland, aye.
Eric? Eric?
He's frozen.
He's frozen.
Marianne Weatherald,
Okay,
aye.
James?
James Roseback, aye.
Trish?
Trish Grady, aye.
Eric,
Eric, are you back with us?
I'm sorry?
Eric, your vote on the issuance of the variance.
It's a nay. Doesn't meet the requirements of variance.
Okay, all right, that vote passes 5 to 1. All right, good luck, John, Sean,
Thank you
and
very much.
just stay in touch with Jeff and let us know when that is in, and we'll take it from here.
Thank you.
Very much.
All right, next item of business is, let's jump back to 560 Jerusalem Road. All right. Jeff, how we doing here? Do we have everybody back? Let me see where we are and how we're doing here. Participants.
Yeah, we have David back.
All right, we'll try this again.
Yep, there you are.
Oh, great.
The small wonders of the world.
Catherine and Dan Buckley are still here. Hi, everyone.
Hey guys, thanks for bearing with us here.
No problem.
All right, so give me a minute here. I'm going to share my screen And if you've been waiting patiently, thank you for that. I'm going to share my screen. Let me know when it's up. And I'll. All right. Let me know when you can see my screen.
There we are. So,
All
good
right.
evening.
So just you know what? I did read into the record already the notice of public hearing. So no need to go do that again. David, if you weren't with us earlier, I did read into the record the notice of public hearing. I believe I did. So we're good to go. We're just we're coming back to 560 Jerusalem Road. And just for the record, David, your name and affiliation, and I'll turn it over to you. And you just let me know when you want me to skip to the next slide here.
You
I
got
believe
it.
we also have some pictures, and I'm happy to go from here.
This should be fairly brief. My name is Dave Crispin. I'm a civil engineer and a land surveyor with the BSC Group. Kathy and Dan Buckley are with us also, the new owners. They purchased this last fall. And believe it or not, Jeff and I walked this site last fall. So it took a little while to get through the passing, I guess, and figure this out. But where we are at the eastern end of Straits Pond on the southerly side of Jerusalem Road. And if you want to jump to the next slide, this is a bad photo, but it's Google Earth. You can see the front yard. There's some landscaping, a couple of shrubs out front, and a rather extensive grassed lawn and a gravel driveway. The house is way in the back. And what you see in the center bottom of this is a catch basin basically covered with leaves in this photograph. But that is in the street drainage system. And one of the reasons we were delayed a little bit is we talked to Carl over at DPW a number of times about getting that cleaned out, and he finally got it cleaned out last week. So now we know what's going on there, which I will get to in a minute. Next slide. And there's only 8 slides, so this isn't a big long deal. This is just a screenshot of the CAD file, but what I want you to see at the bottom of the screen, there is a driveway that goes up the hill. Those blue arrows represent the surface runoff that comes down the driveway, takes a left, and goes right into the front lawn of the Buckleys. It's kind of because of the way they graded and paved the apron at the bottom of the driveway, but it's not a big deal. I mean, it's easily solvable, and we kind of thought to deal with that, we would just leave well enough alone and take care of the problem for the area. So the next slide kind of shows you what happens. If you can go to the next one. That's a pretty cartoonish representation of what the front yard does pretty much every spring and winter. It comes down and it does not percolate. The soils there are terrible. We looked at the test pit logs from the old septic systems, and it's basically till. So that front elliptoid there is a bowl, for lack of any better term. It's just a bowl. If you want to go to the next slide, I think we can see what this actually looks like looking out the front windows. That's the bowl. You can see the front yard is lower than the street. You can see that it ices over and sits there. And not to put words in the mouths of the abutters, but I think the abutters are, I think the words were tired of looking at the flood that sits there ad nauseum, not to mention the detriment to the front lawn, because it does in fact kill the lawn many seasons, many years each season. Next slide. So what are we going to do? You remember the driveway coming down the bottom of the slide? We're going to build a little 2-foot wide cobble channel into a 4-bay. Not that they sand that driveway heavily, but there was evidence of some sand. So I thought we'd do the right thing and put a 4-bay in there and trap that sand. Then it overflows into a rain garden, which is about 18 inches deep. And then there is a 4-inch diameter pipe going to be coming out of this little yard drain. And I'll show a picture of that next. That goes into, as I told you, when Carl cleaned the catch basin, we discovered, to everyone's surprise, that the pipe that goes into the brook does not connect to the catch basin. So being an ingenious kind of guy, I took a 45-foot long survey rod and stuffed it up the end of the pipe, and I got in 43.5 feet, which is well past the edge of pavement and into the grass. which made Carl very happy because now I don't need to even touch anything in the pavement. And I can still get a very small outlet flow out of the yard. All of that lighter green area is to be slightly regraded, just enough to get a pitch to flow down and into the rain garden. And because the soils are such a soft till, and we're going to have equipment there, we'd like to put a French drain, so to say, up the center of that, and make sure that that dries out and drains out readily, goes into the catch basin. And the rain garden itself is a 2/3 sand, 1/3 topsoil, so it's a very sandy mix. And underneath that sand mix is a perforated pipe racked in crushed stone and filter fabric. So 99% of the flow leaks into that rain garden and then goes out through the little 4-inch pipe. So that's on the edge of the 50-foot buffer zone. We know that. And the unique thing here is there's no need for any erosion controls here because we are literally in a bowl on the opposite side of Jerusalem Road. Next slide, I think, shows a little picture of what this overflow structure looks like, just in cross section on the left. The rim of that little yard drain or catch basin, which is it's nothing special. This is a Home Depot, 18-inch diameter, tall, 12-inch diameter plastic catch basin, just enough to let that overflow. Will be placed about 6 inches above the top of the rain garden, so it only overflows into significant events. The orange line on the cross section on the left is that subsurface drain that would let the water soak through the sandy loam in and come out, and then it goes to that pipe that we know is there. We're going to have to discover that when we get to a construction stage, but we know it's there. We know it's 43.5 feet from the end of the pipe. I think that's it in a nutshell. The next one just says questions. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
So we're hoping for a negative determination if that's possible.
Okay. Jeff, I know you have some pictures. I don't know if it's worth sharing the pictures. I'll go back here a little bit. The pictures right there really kind of say a lot. Jeff, comments to this one?
Yeah, the only reason that we're in any buffer zones here is because across the street on the other side of Jerusalem Road is an intermittent stream. And then behind the house is a small intermittent stream also. So those are the closest resource areas. And that's why they're here at all. I do like the, the water treatment I think is great. The 4-bay to trap solid particulate matter. And then the rain garden to reduce the pollutant load. I don't think a lot of people would include that. And I think it's, I'm happy to see that here in this proposal.
I know I don't live too far from the house, and I've seen this at its worst. I probably walk by here at least once or twice a day, and I've seen it at its worst conditions, and certainly applaud you for trying to take care of the water. I know the water comes in from kind of a couple different angles here, and unfortunately hits that low-lying area in the front yard. So I agree, to your I'd probably want to be doing something over there as well. So, good for you to try and remedy the situation here. Comments from the commission? Any other comments?
Yeah, I think maybe I missed something here. You have the existing pipe. I believe you said it's 43 feet long.
43 feet from the right end, right there where Jeff just had the right there. There's a head wall over there.
What's at the far end of the pipe? I missed that.
To the left or to the right?
To the right.
Over here, Eric.
That's the intermittent stream that flows down to the pond.
Okay, so you'll be dumping the water that's currently collecting on the lawn into the stream directly.
Exactly.
Okay.
At a very controlled rate.
Yeah.
I kind of suspect that at the left end of that, when we get to it, we're going to find some kind of a dry well or something that was probably put there. And I'm guessing when they built Jerusalem Road, I don't know what we're going to expect. The pipe is a vitrified clay, 15-inch. I haven't put any of that in my lifetime, and I've been doing this for 45 years, so I think this is a pretty old pipe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I've passed this property for a number of years, and it's always been a view to see all that lake out there. So
Yeah.
this is an improvement, it looks like. And second, the plan. This is a really nice plan. I just have to comment on the engineer on it. We don't usually see so detailed, and I really like how it's explained. I hope other people would continue to do stuff like this. Third, just wanted to know how much elevation do you think you're going to be putting in, the grade, I guess, on the lawn?
The
lawn,
the center, around the perimeter, it does not change at all. In the center line where that reddish line going left to right is, we're probably going to change it from 4 inches to maybe a foot at the far right end, and then the rain garden's a couple of feet deep.
Okay,
So
just a
this is
reminder.
not. I'm thinking there might be 75 yards worth of earthwork here. We'll strip the topsoil, stockpile it, regrade it, and take away a little bit, and put it back together again.
Okay, and just a reminder, the rain garden has to be maintained forever. That the homeowner has to maintain it to keep it to work. It's not, it just doesn't stay that way.
Yeah,
There's
and
obligation.
This is true, and it's designed intentionally for minimal maintenance. It's these are perennials that would be in there. Like I said, I don't expect a lot of sand coming off of that private driveway. My discussions with the Buckleys was that forebay, they might get a wheelbarrow of sand every 4 or 5 years. It's not going to be a big, huge maintenance item.
All right.
So, well, you'll know if there's a failure with the design as well.
Yes.
When you start to see the water backing up all over again.
Right.
Hopefully that doesn't happen.
To be very clear, if we get a 5-inch thunderstorm, there's going to be a puddle in the front yard. It just might take a day for it to go down instead of 3 weeks.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Understandable.
There goes your ice skating rink.
Yeah, the skating.
Lake Buckley, our friends call it. Not lovingly.
Yeah, we haven't mapped it yet.
Any further comments here? All right, so Jeff has requested a negative determination. Is this a negative? I don't see any conditions being placed on it, or not hearing any.
Jerry,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was muted. I have a couple questions real quickly.
Sure.
So, how much, you just mentioned that if there was a certain size storm that it would still take time to get rid of. Are you saying because the capacity of the 4-inch pipe leaving the rain garden?
Yes, it's only a 4-inch line going out of there on purpose. It's very, very restricted.
Well, what do you have you calculated how much a 1-inch storm, how much volume that would actually create?
We honestly didn't go to that expense for this.
Because my quick look at this is suggestive that you're not going to end up with a big puddle in the front yard. You're going to overflow your rain garden. You're going to end up with the water in the road and going into the catch basin.
Well, it'll never make it out to the road. The whole site is going to be lower than it is now. And you saw the pictures with the front yard flooded. It wasn't making it out to the road at that point.
Okay, so the edge of the rain garden is still going to be lower.
It's going to be about a foot or a foot and a half lower than the grade there now.
Okay.
And we will have that positive overflow with that plastic little yard drain. So yeah, it's going to, it may drain in 4 hours instead of a day and a half.
Yeah. There are some other pictures that are a little bit more recent that may help you out here. These were taken about a week or so. You see here. See, Chris, so it's never going to get out to the road itself because the elevation is lower than the road itself.
Yeah, that dead spot in the grass is about the lowest spot on the property.
Yeah.
But that area is receiving fill.
No, it's get excavated. Everything gets excavated down.
Everything gets excavated down.
Right, to create a better slope from the house down to the rain garden, because right now it's like almost dead flat across the front yard.
Okay.
So you're kind of building a swell then.
A very, very shallow swale. The naked eye will not see it.
And so you see, it's not gonna make it up over the driveway.
That's correct.
Right, you
Okay.
don't want
Is
to flood
everything
through.
safe?
You want to keep it all on the property. Not in
Where-
the-
Yeah.
Where did the stream used to extend to before Jerusalem Road?
That is a
Was it on this property?
$20,000 question. I'm guessing because there is a stream across the back of the property, which didn't show up well on this plan, but it goes parallel to Jerusalem Road. When the house was built, I'm guessing they diverted that stream maybe to this culvert, and they pushed it off to the north, or to the west rather.
Okay.
There's so many streams going back here. Of course, you have Rattlesnake Run, but there's so many areas over here that are wet that come off of the hill and the
Right.
hillside that flow down through there. It's tough to say.
Okay.
All right. Okay, any further comments?
No.
All right, Jeff, I'm not hearing any special conditions being placed on here. Is that just a -2?
You're
Jeff,
muted.
you with us?
You're muted, Jeff.
So, sorry about that. So I just wanted to say there's no comments in the Q&A regarding this, and it would be a -2.
-2. All right. Jay Pampari, I'd like to make a motion to issue a -2 determination on the RDA for 560 Jerusalem Road. Do I hear a second? Seconded by Chris McFarland. We'll do this by roll call vote. Jay Pampari, aye. Chris?
Chris McFarland, aye.
Eric?
Eric Eisenhower, aye.
Mary Ann?
Marianne Weatherald, aye.
James?
James Roseback, aye.
Trish?
Trish Grady, aye.
Okay, that vote passes 6-0. Congratulations. Good luck with the project. Hopefully, we see it dry out there.
Yes.
Thank you. We
Thank you.
we expect a summer project, and Jeff, I will certainly let you know when things are going to go.
You'll have to hang up your ice skates.
Yes, we'll have a little picnic. Everybody can come.
The end of the lake.
All right. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
you.
Thanks
Okay.
again. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Okay, moving right along here. Looks like, according to my records, the next item of business is 44 Atlantic Avenue.
I hope not.
419 Jerusalem Road.
419.
Oh, I apologize. I'm jumping ahead. I'm jumping ahead here. Okay, hold on. All right, let me read into the record the public voice here, and I'll share my screen, etc., and bring everybody up. All right, in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Cohasset Wetlands Bylaw and the Cohasset Stormwater Bylaw, the Cohasset Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Thursday, June 11th, 2020 at 7 p.m. via remote participation on a Zoom platform for notice of intent 20-13 from applicant Barry Cohen for additions to an existing single-family dwelling at 419 Jerusalem Road. Let me
Chairman?
jump back here.
Chairman, I'm just going to recuse myself from this discussion.
Okay, for the record, Marianne Weatherald has recused herself. We still have 5 voting members here. Looks like we have John as a panelist now. Jeff, anybody else need to
John, is there the applicant here that wants to join?
No,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay. All right, John, I've just punched up the site plan. Let me know if that's sufficient for you. Is that good enough?
Yes, perfect. Thank you, Jay.
Okay, I'll leave it right there. Thank you.
Thank you, members of the commission. Again, John Cavanero from Cavanero Consulting in Norwell on behalf of Barry Cohen, the owner of 419 Jerusalem Road. The Cohens purchased 419 recently, and we filed a notice of intent to do some work in the front of the property. This is an ocean-facing property that has a coastal bank on the ocean side, back of lawn. Between the top of the coastal bank and floodplain, there's a pool, landscape, then the back of the house, and then we're on the front side of the house that faces Jerusalem Road. The lot slopes up from the dwelling to the road. This is a Royal Barry Wills Cape home that sits sort of mid-span of the lot. So the resource area, as I mentioned, is on the back side of the house. All this work is on the front side. It'll be accessed from the existing paved driveway, and there are a couple of small additions going from left to right. There's about 150 square foot addition that will be located in conforming and within the side yard setback. It'll be a one-story addition that'll be located within 15 feet of the side yard. So that's a conforming addition. So no other relief is required there. They're also looking to cover the proposed entry and then remove an existing glass atrium that's located sort of at the mid-span of the house, where the house takes an angle over to the garage. They want to take that down and replace that with also a single-story addition. Next to that, there's a small porch, and that in itself comprises the entirety of the project. It's well below the thresholds for a stormwater permit. We're well under 500 square feet. There's limited disturbance over existing developed areas, namely the atrium, lawn, the existing entry, and we have an erosion control device sited along the front of the house to capture any minimal sedimentation that may take place during construction, so that nothing will make its way to the backyard. We do have a DEP number. There were no comments from Mass DEP on this application. And as I mentioned, there'll be no other requirements for any other permits for this work.
So nothing with ZBA at all, John, with the conforming lot on the side with the building setback there?
Correct.
Okay. All right, Jeff, comments on this one?
So I just kind of want to echo what John said. You know, it's a minimal amount of work, and it's already into built areas. You know, the atrium, the steps, the one addition into the lawn, which is on the other side of the resource area, and then the deck. While I'm speaking, I just had a quick question for John. What's that deck going to be like? Is it going to be a suspended deck with a couple of sonotubes, or is it going to be flat on the ground?
So the porch?
Yeah, the porch.
Yeah, so that's just sonotubes. It won't be a foundation, just suspended on sonotubes.
Okay. I was trying to show some photos here of the actual front of the house. Jeff, keep going.
So
You there,
as you
Jeff?
can, as you can see there, there's the atrium that will be coming down and replaced with a small addition. And then you can see the front entrance to the house is not covered right now. There's a small covering, but they want to get protected from the weather.
Okay. And then the little bump out here.
Correct.
Okay.
So
And it's all one story. Will they just have to cut into the roof line here, John?
right.
Yeah. So we cut into the roof line a little bit, but not exceeding the overall height there.
It won't be triggering any zoning relief, correct?
Yeah. Sorry, Jeff, I didn't know if you had any further comment.
No.
Okay. My quick comments, this is a beautiful home. Everything is pretty much outside of the 50. It says, John mentioned, it doesn't require a stormwater permit because it's below the threshold. If you've been by this house, it was one of three houses in a row. The other two were unfortunately knocked down and rebuilt. And what the middle one looks like right beside it. When I saw the for sale sign go up on this one, my first impression was, oh no, if the new owners, please keep this house as best they can, selfishly speaking. So I applaud the new owners for keeping the home pretty much as is with minimal work. And so thank you to the homeowner if you're out there listening, and not knocking this down and building something other than what's currently there now. And I really don't have any comments to this project personally. Others, any other comments from the commission?
I have none.
No other comments? Okay. So Jeff, this just requires an order of conditions. We don't need a variance because there's no work in the 50, correct?
Correct.
Right.
There's
All
no
right,
questions from the audience either.
Any questions from the audience? Nothing from the audience? Great.
No.
Okay. Jay Pimpari would like to make a motion to issue an order of conditions for the project at 419 Jerusalem Road. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Having a motion and a second by Eric Eisenhower. Let's do this by roll call vote. Jay Pimpari, aye. Chris?
Chris McFarland, aye.
Eric?
Eric Eisenhower, aye.
Marianne? Oh, sorry, Marianne has recused herself. It's James?
James Roseback, aye.
Trish?
Trish Grady, aye.
Okay, that vote passes 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, John.
Yeah.
You done for the night, John?
I am. Time for some fig Newtons.
Time for no milk and cookies. All right, thanks, John. Have a good vacation. If it looks like we're not going to see you next week, enjoy yourself.
Appreciate that. Thank
Are you off to the Sahara, John?
Sort of.
No marathons in the desert this time.
Well, local. Thank you. I'll send you a postcard.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm cooked that from Hingham.
All right. Next and last item of business. It looks like, how's everybody doing? Anybody need a 2-minute break?
I'm fine.
Nope.
All right. Yeah, if you need a break, just put yourself on mute and come back. This next hearing is a continued hearing from May 28th, 2020, a couple weeks back. This is Lot 1 and Lot 2, Black Horse Lane.
Hey, Jay, sorry, we still got 44 Atlantic.
Oh, yeah, boy, I am just trying to breeze through this, aren't I? I printed out the agenda. Nothing. I don't have crown molding in New Hampshire. I'm trying to read off this, if you can even see. The only piece of hard copy information I have, and it's working to my disadvantage, is that the font is about 3 here. So I apologize. All right, let me read into the record the notice of public hearing for Atlantic Avenue. In accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Cohasset Wetlands Bylaw and the Cohasset Stormwater Bylaw, the Cohasset Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Thursday, June 11, 2020 at 7 p.m. via remote participation on a Zoom platform for Notice of Intent 20-13 and Stormwater Permit 20-20 from applicant Brian Hill Sr. to construct a new single-family dwelling within the buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland at 44 Atlantic Avenue. And I see we have Greg Morse here as well. Greg, you're muted, and we have Jeff Hassett, who's not muted. If there's anyone else that we need to bring on board, Jeff, please let me know. I will share my screen again, if that's okay. Jeff, you might be doing the talking here. I see you and Greg are both here, but Greg's muted.
Hey, good evening. Jeff Hassett here with Morse Engineering, speaking on behalf of the property owner, Brian Hill. Would you like me to jump into a summary of the project?
Great. So Jeff, not to cut you off here, but I'm throwing up here your site plan. And so let me know if you want me to move around or do anything other than a site plan, and I'll let you take it from here. Has that site plan coming across?
Yeah, that looks good. That basically shows the whole project there.
Okay.
So we have filed a notice of intent and a stormwater permit for a new house at this property known as 44 Atlantic Ave. The property itself is a ½ acre in size. It's currently undeveloped with the exception of a paved driveway running along the right-hand side or the northerly side of the property. Oh, I think we're losing it. There we go.
You were cutting out there, Jeff. I didn't catch the past 15, 20 seconds. Sorry.
Okay. So the property slopes from the rear towards Atlantic Ave. There is a large outcrop of ledge at the rear of the property. And for the most part, the property is wooded with the ledge outcrops. The only wetlands on the property are on the opposite side of Atlantic Ave. It's a BVW. That line is shown off the page right now in blue. The 50-foot buffer is in red, and the 100-foot buffer is in green.
Okay.
A very small portion of the site, the bottom right corner, is within a FEMA floodplain. We're not doing any work within that zone. So moving on to the proposed work, the proposed house is very small. It's only 30 by 27.5, and the disturbance area is 9,300 square feet. So I mentioned before, there's a large ledge outcrop at the rear of the property. This house will be forward of that ledge at the flat area at the base of it. And that's in order to minimize the cost by minimizing the ledge removal. There will be a paved driveway coming off of that existing paved driveway. And in terms of stormwater, like all projects, we've designed a system to reduce both the rates and the volumes of runoff. There will be a stone trench shown as the dashed line on the down gradient side of the driveway. That stone trench is 2 feet wide, 2 feet deep, and 100 feet long. And then also all of the roof runoff will go to a dry well system made up of 5 chambers in the front yard. Both of these systems are in areas of fill, so they're elevated above the natural material and potentially ledge. You can see we've located all of the existing trees on the property. It's a very small work area, again, 9,300 square feet. Any trees that are in the areas of the house, the driveway, in the grading would have to go, and they're shown in gray. All of the other existing trees along the perimeter of the work are shown in green, and they will remain. In addition, we are proposing 9 trees along the frontage along Atlantic Ave. 5 deciduous trees. There'll be 3 to 4 inch caliper when planted, and then 4 evergreens.
Are these trees right here, Jeff?
They are, yes.
Are these trees that I'm moving my cursor around here? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yes, and then over at the corner of the house, there are 4 evergreens, really intended to provide a little privacy from the backyard to the street. In terms of the notice of intent filing, again, the wetlands are on the other side of the road. That bold dashed line is the erosion control barrier. That, in this case, will be a 12-inch mulch sock, and it will remain in place until the entire site is stabilized. And again, no work within the 50-foot buffer. So I think that concludes my summary. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
So Jeff, just real quickly, I'm going ahead to the tree legend. So these, I guess the color green there. So the tree, these remain, the trees here, the larger trees, whatever's in the front here will remain. Okay.
Correct.
Can I just make a comment from here and moving forward when we have the tree legend? Can you make these like a pink or a brown or a blue or some other color, then make a better distinction between what's to be removed and what's to remain? It's just it's tough to point all them out. I see how, you know, the 50-foot wetland is red and then we've got green. That's a really, the red really sticks out. So just moving forward on these plans, before I forget to just, you know, color code these in clear bolded colors that really stick out on what's to remain and what's to be removed.
Sure, yeah, we can do that in the future.
Jeff, before I open up to any other comments, Jeff Summers, comments on this one?
Jeff, this is
So,
Mayor. Well, Jeff, this is Mary Ann. What is the dotted line here right before Atlantic Ave? Is that the stone wall that you see along Atlantic?
But this line,
Mm-hmm. There's a stone wall that seems to be about where the property is.
So
that that?
if you look at the 50-foot wetland buffer label in red, directly below that is a stone wall line type.
so right here, yeah.
Oh. So then what is the
So that's
dotted line?
So that bold
That's the,
dotted line is the limit of work where there'll be an erosion control barrier.
Yeah, that's the silk sock right here.
Oh, okay.
The silk sock coming around. So I know it's hard when you drive up there to actually see it. So that the rock wall you're referring to, I believe, is right over here, and then that existing driveway. So the existing driveway comes up and goes up and goes around to a house out in the back.
It does a loop and comes back to Atlantic Ave.
Yeah.
There is so much ledge on this property. I was kind of surprised by this one. I mean, it's a beautiful ledge. On top, there's a stone wall, like on this property. There's a cement wall. It seems to be holding back the property. Like as you go up the road, is there going to be any work done up there as you proceed up higher, kind of near?
No, that lawn area, you can actually see the retaining wall shown on the plan.
Mm-hmm.
Those retaining walls were built when they put in a septic system for the abutting house, which that house is now connected to sewer. And for the most part, that land is off-site.
So I see that
Still part of the property.
proposed limit of work. Yeah. So for all commissioners, see the proposed limit of work. Jeff has it. The squiggly line here, I'll call it that. There's no disturbance in this area, like the 2 trees shaded in green are to remain. That retaining wall up here will remain, and again, all this whole area will be not disturbed at all. The limit of work follows this squiggly little line here.
Right. I was just concerned, like the shifting of just taking away so much.
Yeah.
Seems like I mean, how are you going to be blasting to get through into this driveway? Or what's your plan?
So the driveway will be filled. There's a flat area at the base of all the ledge in the back. And this driveway, when you come up, it's in an area of fill. The only ledge removal is a small amount for the basement of this house. The grade's coming down about 2 feet. The intent of this project is to really be an affordable house. They don't want to spend a fortune on ledge removal here. So we at one point we were talking about doing a bigger house and putting it up on top of the ledge. And we ended up taking this route and minimizing the ledge removal.
Yeah, I'm trying to follow the contour lines here, and just for everyone's sake, if you follow existing 16 feet here, looks like it follows existing 17, existing 18. You kind of lose it a little bit here. So as Jeff mentioned, there's fill. So it's not actually being cut. There's fill being brought in here along the driveway. And then it looks like it almost, it's not quite flat, but the elevation only goes up about a foot. It's 18 over here, so it looks like about 4 feet of fill, up to no feet of fill, and then really not much fill in there at all. But some excavation getting down to the slab at 23 feet.
And about how many trees are being removed from this property, from this site?
There are 17 trees being removed.
And you're along a scenic road too, so you can't clear between 5 and 15 feet unless you get the planning board to approve of that. Have you talked to them?
We have not spoken to them, but we are not working within the front part right along Atlantic Ave. We're keeping that wooded area between the street and the work area.
Yeah, I think looking at this, I don't have the scale here. I'm sure the scale is off in the bottom point.
It rises up a bit, I think.
Yeah. So, there you go. So what's a 1 to 20 scale? So I think you're talking at least 20 feet from here to there, Jeff. I mean, if you want to get excuse me, ruler out or know that offhand, but it looks like you're at least 20 feet from the road here before the actual clearing starts, or at least where the silt sock is.
Yeah, I'm getting about 22 feet from the edge of pavement.
Okay. So, good comment, but hopefully, it doesn't really apply here, thankfully. How big is the house again, Jeff? 20 by 30?
30 by 27 and a half.
30 by 20, so we're a little less than 900 square feet and with 2 floors?
Yeah, story and a half.
So to get into the house, you're actually going to have to, I assume is there a slab, there's an underground garage or a garage on the bottom floor?
Yeah, there'll be a door right there into the basement, and then those front steps and the rear steps will be hardscaped walkways going up 8 feet to the first floor.
So the house is
Right. So,
on top of the garage, so it's 3 stories?
You'll have an unfinished basement, and then you'll have a story and a half above that. And so, yeah, you could call it a 2-story because you're pulling up at basement level.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And looking at the contour in the back, there's really not much as far as level ground in order to do much out there. So there's going to be some runoff, as you can imagine, coming off of the hill here. Have you thought about foundation drains at all or anything? Or how are you going to hold that water back from coming into the house?
Yeah, so the high point in the property is right where the proposed limit of work is. So you have about 30 feet of runoff coming towards the house. So it won't be a ton of water, but it certainly is something to be concerned about. It will be kind of the fine grading to divert the water around the house, and then also waterproofing the basement.
Definitely. Yeah.
The intent of the applicant is not to finish that basement. In fact, it'll probably have the foundation just pinned to the ledge, so there'll be an exposed ledge on the uphill side.
Yeah.
So where is the drain?
Yeah.
You have roof runoff going into drains on 4 corners, or can you go over that, or the mitigation of where you're directing the water to is?
Yep. So there will be downspouts in the front, I guess the corners closest to Atlantic Ave.
Mm-hmm.
It's only a 30-foot run, so you can pitch the gutters from the other side of the building to that side. And then from there, it'll be piped with a 4-inch pipe to the drywall system along the edge of the driveway.
Do you think that will capture everything, or do you need more than that?
That will capture all of the runoff. It will overflow at the downspout right at the corner of the house during bigger storm events. So the intent of it is to make it big enough that we're reducing the amount of runoff from the property. We don't have to hold back all of the runoff from the roof.
Jeff Summers, comments on this one?
So I just wanted to say that the resource, going back to the resource area, it's on the other side of Atlantic Avenue is Treats Pond, and the actual wetland is basically a buffers Treats Pond. So that's what the actual resource area is. As Jeff Hassett said, the entire lot is vegetated as is, and I think you can pretty much assume that everything will be removed. I don't know if we covered this already. Everything will be removed in that limit of work area. The vegetation along the front edge will remain, and then they'll have, whatever was not the 9 trees planted along the roadway. I guess probably for privacy eventually.
Mm-hmm.
That was the only comment I have. There is a question from the audience. I don't know if you want to wait or address that now.
Could I speak first, please?
Sure.
So, could you explain to us, in kind of simplest terms, you have a heavily wooded site, which you're removing, my quick math, 220 inches of caliper of trees in I think you said 17 trees or 19 trees. And I have to assume, and maybe erroneously, which is why I'm asking the question, that the land is kind of reclassified for stormwater management when you take down that many trees. Am I correct or incorrect?
Yeah, that's correct. You get the water runs off quicker when over a developed site as opposed to woods, and that's why we have to put in the stormwater devices to hold back a portion of the flow so that we're reducing the net.
But the stormwater devices are only capturing roof water, correct?
They are capturing the roof runoff as well as the driveway runoff and anything up gradient of the driveway. So there's also the stone trench running along the side of the driveway, which is 100 feet long.
And how much? What kind of storm event will that begin to overflow?
Give me just a minute.
We have a comment from the audience here, and I know I stop sharing my screen. It's a comment from one of the abutters. A couple questions here. I'll read the questions in the comment and we can circle back. The first question was how many trees will be removed? The second question is where will the runoff go? And then the comment is Treats Pond has caused serious flooding at 91 and 95 Atlantic Ave for many years. The flooding continues today. Any new construction and clearing should be held off until the flooding issues at Treats Pond are resolved. So if we could just go back, Jeff Hassett, and answer those. How many trees will be removed? I think you already stated that, but if you could for the record again.
Sure. 17 trees will be removed. The roof dry well overtops in a 10-year storm. It does not overtop in the 2-year storm. And the calculations show that the volume and the rates of runoff to that pond will be reduced as a result of this project.
I'm going to go back to sharing my screen.
What will the volume go from what to what?
So in the report under following the narrative or the standards, standard 2 being the peak discharge rates and volumes.
Right.
And we calculated for the 2, the 10, and the 100 year. But to give you a summary, the rates are reduced by 12% and the volumes by 20%.
And what storms will that, Jeff? Is that the 110, 100? Can you break that down, please?
The 2, the 10, and the 100.
Okay, so
For the 12%.
what was the volume that was reduced in the 2-year?
I'm sorry, you broke up. What's that?
What was the volume of water that was reduced in the 2-year, 10-year, and 100? Can you break that down, please?
Sure. So for the volumes, the units are acre feet. And for a 2-year storm, it's reduced from 0.039 to 0.026. In a 10-year storm, 0.067 to 0.051. And in a 100-year storm, 0.135 to 0.116.
And was that a 12% overall, or where did the 12% come in?
So what I read you were the volumes, and that was a 20% decrease. And it's I guess the sum of all of the storm events, an average of the 3 storm events.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'd like to follow up on the tree removal again. Besides for what Jay had said earlier about coding it a little more clearly in the future, I think it's important that we start to hold to the requirement of the bylaw that the trees are identified on site, not just by size, but also by species, so we can look at them more carefully. Like I said, there are 220 caliper inch of tree being removed on this site, and it's being replaced with approximately 30 inches of tree. I think that the applicant could certainly do more. The entire kind of backyard of the site is void of any replanting. While that happens to be outside the 100-foot buffer, it just seems like you know, as a good neighbor, you would try to do something to help mitigate all that removal.
Sure. So in this case, it's a very small work area. It's only about 9,000 square feet. So along the front of the property where we're replanting, those trees are 25 feet on centered. So there's not a lot more room to fit trees in that area. In the back, although it's part of the work area, it's a large ledge outcrop that's significantly tall. It'll be taller than the first floor of the house. To give you an idea, the first floor is at elevation 32, and that ledge in the back goes up to elevation 40. And you really could not plant on that slope. It's clean ledge.
Can you add more vegetation or trees in the front then? I see that you've marked a few, but if there is a problem going into Treats Pond, can more trees capture some of that water?
Yeah, I mean, we could probably fit 2 or 3 more in there. But it's just a small area. The trees right now are 20 feet on center, 25 feet or so. So, but yeah, if we could certainly fit a couple more in.
Is there any way to control the runoff from the actual pavement? It looks like it does slopes down from a 23 gradient down to a 16, and it significantly drops off down to the road. How is the driveway pitched? Is it pitched down? Is it pitched up? What's happening? I assume it's probably pitched down.
Yeah, Jay, you're breaking up pretty badly.
Yeah.
Jay was asking about the pitch of the driveway, where it's pitched, or what can you do more to capture the driveway runoff?
Yeah. So, I mean, the driveway is cross-pitched with that stone trench on the downhill side. On other projects, we have done one of those trench drains across the end of the driveway to really capture that last portion. I mean, we could add that if you would like. But the property naturally slopes toward that stone trench.
The driveway's pitched over to catch the stone trench here. Stone trench that runs along the driveway. Water comes over, hits the stone trench, and hopefully infiltrates into the ground before it actually runs off down onto Atlantic Cap.
Right.
It's a pervious driveway, I assume?
No.
Impervious.
Concrete. It's asphalt.
Oh.
But you said the stone trench was connected to the infiltration, correct?
The stone trench and the roof drywall system are 2 separate items, not connected.
Oh.
You're breaking up, Jeff, there. Sorry, I don't know if it's the connection or not, or if it's me, but I'm having a hard time hearing you. Jeff asked it.
The stone trench and the roof drywall are 2 separate systems. They're not connected.
Okay. So what, again, this dotted line that you see here, moving the cursor around, is the 2 by 2 stone trench that is designed to capture any water that comes off of the driveway and hopefully infiltrates into the ground going down the hill, completely separate from the water that's captured in the infiltration chamber the house and the roof garden if we direct it over this direction.
That's correct.
I'm not sure what he said there.
Yeah.
I think he was just reiterating that the stone trench is, sorry, Jay, to speak for you, but you were kind of broken up. I think what he was trying to say is that the stone trench is along the driveway is designed to capture the water coming directly off the driveway and what would run onto the driveway uphill, and that the gutters and downspouts will trap the water that would hit the top of the roof, and that's going to be directed into the drywall chamber.
Can we add more to that? Did we say that?
No, Jay, you're completely broken up.
Difficulty here. Where's 91 and
Not working, Jay.
have, on this map here? It's not, I know it's,
Repeat yourself.
I'm not working here.
No, now you are. You have to
You're
repeat.
okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yep.
Can you hear me now? All right. So where is 91 and 95 Atlantic Ave on this plan?
It's on the other side.
Yeah, where?
Yeah, I get that. I'm gonna put the plan back up.
Right, but where? Is it near like Whitehead? It is
Along-
that
yeah,
way?
we have a public, we have a
It's just to the north of Treats Pond.
Yeah,
91 and
I get-
95 are down the road to the north on the opposite side of the road, on the other side of the pond.
How
water
far
flood
down the
goes-
road here are we talking? This is 44. How far down the road are we talking?
Pretty far.
The first driveway, 91, is 225 feet down the road.
Okay, so that's like 3/4 of the length of a football field.
Correct.
Okay.
So if I can
Yeah.
just jump in for a second, speaking of 91, the resident there is asking, he says the runoff goes down the slope into culverts under Atlantic Avenue and into 91 and 95 Atlantic Avenue, question mark. So I'm not really sure what he's asking there, but
That is correct. There are catch basins in Atlantic Ave, and those catch basins discharge to the pond on the other side of the road.
And then they flood out into his yard. That's what he's indicating.
Yes.
yeah, I'm looking at the satellite image now, and like Treats Pond like literally goes like right up to his driveway.
So is that related though to the driveway that may go up to the abutting property behind 44?
I mean, it's a very large watershed of area draining to Treat Pond. So yeah, this property does eventually drain to Treat Pond, as does the other properties behind it. Again, though, this project, we're reducing the amount of volume, so it will not make that situation they have it over at 91 or 95 any worse.
How exactly is it affecting 91 and 95 again? Can you point that out if we're talking about 225 linear feet here from the edge of the driveway or the slope, et cetera, the drains ultimately? How is it getting from this point over into potentially affecting 91 and 95 Atlantic? Can you describe that again, please? I kind of lost that.
It just has to do with the amount of water that's that's flowing to Treats Pond. And the water from this property flows there as well as all the other surrounding properties.
Yeah. Agreed. Okay.
Jay, the water in Treats Pond is the source of the marshland, which is to the right of what 95 and 91, and the water flows down there continuously. And you also have the problem of the water coming in from the beach. There's a pipe that comes in from the beach when the tide rises high and salt water comes in. It's been a subject of a number of studies by the Army Corps of Engineers. So it's not a small problem, and no one's been able to find a solution to it. Maybe by reducing the water coming down from the side of the hill, there may be some effect on it. But I think that problem on Treats Pond's been there for probably 30, 40, 50 years, all right? And floods every winter.
Yeah,
Just flooding
I
the
agree with
neighbor's
you.
property. I'd hate to have a project continue to affect another property.
Well, I think the whole purpose of the stormwater management plan here is, the engineers needs to demonstrate that the rate and volume of water is reduced post construction prior to pre-construction. So, I mean, while there may be, areas of excessive flooding in the neighborhood, but, we're just looking at each lot individually and analyzing each lot individually. And so what Jeff Hassett is proposing here is a plan which, according to his calculations, will reduce the rate and volume of water eventually winding up in the Treats Pond.
Yeah, I agree. So as you know, what we're tasked with here is to look at this individual site plan and see how that affects stormwater runoff, et cetera, where it was filed under a notice of intent solely because of the fact that there's work that's being done within the 100-foot buffer, but clearly Atlantic Ave is between Treats Pond and in the proposed location. So as the applicant has laid out, the calculations have shown that there is a apparent 12% overall reduction coming off of the site. I am trying to cognizant of the public comments that are coming here and talking about that. As Eric did mention, the Treats Pond, that it's an area that will probably always flood, whether or not this house is there or not there, and whether or not it drains properly. It just came in here that the Treats Pond is not draining properly and it fills the driveway. My apologies for that. I'm not, we're trying to control what we can control here. I wish I had a magic wand that I could fix that. What we're tasked with here is to make sure that this project, as designed, is not adding more water off of the site onto Atlantic Ave and potentially down to neighbors' properties. And as been pointing out here, as has been pointed out with the stormwater controls, the stormwater runoff coming off the site will be reduced by 12% overall, given the 2 10 and 100-year storms. So that's where we are. Where there's been talk about putting in more controls in the form of some additional trees. Certainly that would soak up water. So that is a consideration that we can still kick around, but that's what we're tasked with here, is trying to make sure that there's no more water coming off the site, and there is actually an improvement. And again, it appears that the water reduction will be reduced by, the water runoff will be reduced by 12%. So that's kind of what we have in front of us here. Additional comments?
Add more trees.
I'm going to make one comment.
Right.
Go ahead, Marianne. Were you going to say something?
I'm just looking for additional ways we can capture it. We have the roof runoff. I was thinking, if this house is not to be an expensive house, I just wouldn't want them to cut corners and look for. I just want to make sure it's still, if it's an inexpensive house to build, that we still have, we're still capturing the water as we would with a more expensive house.
Yeah, the The stormwater system we're proposing for this house is the same that we would do on a much larger home.
Okay, so we can add more trees, and then we have the roof runoff being captured. You have a trench being put in along the driveway. And just looking for other ways that we can capture this water or increase. Maybe we can capture more volumes of water a bit more.
Jeff, if we're talking about additional trees being planted here, sorry, not to cut you off, Marianne.
Sorry.
If we're talking about additional trees, it looks like upgradient of the proposed driveway. Is that an area where it looks like there's a couple trees that are being removed there? And from what I see on the plan, and I don't know if I'm sharing my screen or not, but upgradient of the driveway there in the 21 to 19 foot contour, 2 trees being removed. Is that an area where some more trees could be planted or a potential?
Yeah, we could fit 2 or 3 trees in there if that would make you more comfortable with it.
I'd add more if you could get 4 trees in there. Also, I didn't see a storm drain on Atlantic. Is there one nearby that we?
It's
here?
just off the viewport of the page. It's 40 feet from the corner of the property.
In what direction?
North, towards the right-hand side of the page.
So is that going toward 41 Atlantic?
There's one to the left too.
Oh, 40 Atlantic. Oh, this way. Okay.
Okay, further comments? Krista, do you have something?
No, never mind.
I mean, feel free. I mean, is there a comment that we want to see some more trees and how do we want to proceed?
Yes, we want to add more trees to this.
I'm in support of that. Jeff, is there a time frame on moving this project forward? Is there a rush to get this going?
Yeah, the owner has already applied for the building permit, and they are trying to get going on it right away. Is this something that I could submit a revised plan as a condition for Jeff Summers to review? And I mean, you tell me how many more trees you want, and I'll fit them in.
I think we're talking about.
I think I heard 4. I think I heard 4 at one point.
I think you mentioned 3 trees upstream, uphill, Jeff, and I think there was another 2 or 3 down below that we discussed. So that's in the 5 to 6, please.
Sure.
Tell me, any way you can make the driveway
So I'm
trench.
sharing my screen.
Is there any way you can somehow make the driveway trench larger, Jeff?
Yeah,
More
I mean,
greater capacity?
Yeah, with the 2-foot width and 2-foot depth, it gives the numbers we talked about. There's enough room there to widen it to 3 feet, even 4 feet.
That's fine.
That's
Yeah, I would do that.
That's a great
I'd
idea.
do that.
Okay.
Okay.
Every little bit helps. Safety margin.
Everyone okay with those conditions?
I'm fine with that. This is James.
Okay. All right. Typically in a situation like this is a little bit beyond, adding a tree here or there. But given the COVID issues and everything that we're dealing with and with pushing off public hearings, et cetera, I would be amenable if we'd hear any further comment of taking a vote to this with a specific condition that more trees be added in the stone trench, be evaluated to make that in larger size, etc. And if that met the satisfaction of the agent and the chair, Jeff, how long would it take you to put this plan together to resubmit it with the revisions we've just talked about?
Could you give me until Tuesday of next week?
Yeah, I'd probably give you a week from today.
I'll take
Eric,
it.
what do you think about putting like a swale or something at the bottom before it hits Atlantic?
I mean, yeah, I would be much happier. He's going to double the size of the driveway trench, all right, which I think is a good effort. He's going to add 6 trees. If you look at the land there, Marianne, along on Atlantic Avenue, I don't. It's very, very steeply sloped, and there's a lot of stone and ledge. I don't think there's room for a swale down below. I don't think that would be workable.
Not without damaging trees.
Yeah, there's a lot of growth there.
Yeah, it's tight.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Any further comments?
That there's a stone wall along that property. Are you going to be touching that?
No.
Thanks.
Any further comment? Okay, so we don't need a variance on this one because there's no work done on the 50. I will make a motion to issue an order of conditions for the project at 44 Atlantic Ave with one specific condition, that a revised plan be submitted to the Conservation Commission that meets the satisfaction of the conservation agent and the chair by close of business on June 18th, 1 week from today. And the revised plan should include at minimum an addition of 6 trees located around the property, and a review of the width of the Stonehenge driveway with the intention of widening that. And if there are any other stormwater controls that can be placed on the site, please evaluate that at that time. Are there any other conditions that need to be placed? Okay, do I hear a second on that motion?
Second.
Okay, motion and a second by Eric Eisenhower. We'll do this by roll call vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Jay Pimpare, aye. Chris?
Can I wait on my vote?
Can you what?
I'd like to wait to the end to vote.
Eric Eisenhower.
We
Eric
will come
Eisenhower.
back to Eric Eisenhower.
Aye.
Marianne Weatherald.
Aye. Marianne Weatherall, aye.
James.
James Roseback, aye.
Trish.
Trish Grady, aye.
Coming back to Chris.
Chris McFarland abstains. Knowing that this vote has passed, I'd just like to say that I want to make sure in the future that all trees are actually labeled with their species. And I'd also just like to say for the record that I think we all struggled with this project because we know that cutting down all these trees and cramming another house in here is not kind of to the best interest of anyone except for the person building it. And for that reason, I abstain.
Okay. Noted. So that this vote does pass 5-0 to 1. And to echo Chris's comments on the revised plan, Jeff, if you could clearly identify, I know we didn't make it a condition, but I'm not going to open it back up, but on a revision on the plan to include a more clear depiction of the removal trees, existing trees, etc., not only in this plan and for the record moving forward as well.
Sure, will do.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Commission.
All right, and so we need a stormwater on this one as well, correct? Jay Pimpari, I'd like to make a motion to issue a stormwater permit for 44 Atlantic Ave with the same conditions noted previously for the order of conditions, which I'm not going to repeat. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion and a second by Eric Eisenhower. Do this by roll call vote. Jay Pimpari, aye. Eric?
Aye.
Chris,
Eisenhower.
Chris will come out to you.
That's right.
Marianne?
Marianne Weatherall, aye.
James?
James Roseback, aye.
Trish?
Trish Grady, aye.
Chris?
Chris McFarland abstain.
Okay, that vote passes 5-0 to 1. Okay, Jeff, we'll be look forward to seeing that report by the end of close of business next week. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thanks again.
Okay, moving along here. Next item of business is Lot 1 and 2 for Black Horse Lane. This is a continued hearing from May 28th. Thank everybody for sticking with us here. I know we actually had, I will get to the public comments in a little bit. I did see a comment or two that had come in, and Jeff, if I'll turn it over to you in a little bit, Jeff Summers, to answer that question. It looks like it's not going to be relevant, but I will bring it out there right now. The question was regarding the plans for Black Horse Lane proposal. There, what's the description of the, will there be any disturbance in the 50-foot buffer zone? And there actually will be no disturbance at all in the 50-foot buffer zone for Black Horse Lane. I'm going to share my screen now. I know the commenter, appreciate you hanging with us here. Like some of us here, it's getting late. So in any event, I'm going to share a couple of things here just for the record to address the public comment. This is the 50-foot wetland buffer that goes along the area. And this is Supper Island out this way. And I believe, as we had discussed, there is no new work proposed in the 50-foot buffer zone. Is that correct, guys? Morse Engineering?
On lot 1, which is the house on the right, there is 0 work inside of the 50-foot buffer. On lot 2, which is the house on the left, there's no new work proposed in the buffer, but we are restoring the existing pool house and patio, but there is no new structures or new work outside of that existing area.
No further impedance toward the towards Supper Island. Okay, so thank you for that. I am going to just jump back here. Greg, are you going to talk on this? I'm going to share my screen, and just so everybody's aware, I figured it would be best, Greg, if you just kind of walked us through here. This was a letter that was submitted as a result after the last hearing, and these are the revisions that were made. And is that okay with you, Jeff? Do you just want to, excuse me, Greg, do you want to run through these and then I'll pull up a site plan, you can further describe it?
Sure.
Can you just hold that? Can you just not roll it? Just keep that there. So I
Yep,
can
hold
read it.
on. Yep.
Thanks.
Okay. So for the record, this is Gregory Morse, registered engineer, Morse Engineering. These are notice of intents and stormwaters associated with 2 new single-family homes. A continued hearing from May 28th. In response to that last meeting, we had our survey crew go out and locate several additional trees, including a sequoia tree that was central on the front of the lot. In addition to that, we made plan changes per the comments. On lot 1 in particular, we specified that the decking on lot 1 was composite. We added specific dimensions to the proposed pool on lot 1. We specified that the patio was a stamped concrete patio surface. We showed lot 1 in its entirety. The property lines used to just extend out into the salt marsh, and we didn't show you the remainder of the lot itself, so we added all of lot 1. And we shifted the driveway on lot 1 as well to get it away from a pine tree out front along the right-of-way at Black Horse Lane. On lot 2, the changes that we made were, again, we specified that the deck materials on lot 2 are going to be a composite decking. We revised the driveway entrance on lot 2. Lot 2 used to have a common driveway on it. Both lots were served by a common driveway. Lot 2 is now on its own separate driveway. We investigated the pool, which is the existing pool on Lot 2, and we've decided to replace it with a new gunite pool. However, the new pool location is outside of the 50-foot buffer. I would point out that the existing pool is inside the 50-foot buffer, so we have removed that as an encroachment. We added notes specifically to the existing pool house cabana that it would have a new roof, siding, windows installed on it, but it was to be rebuilt essentially and rehabbed in its existing location. We investigated a sinkhole that was behind the pool house. I believe it's part of a cesspool, maybe an old septic system that was attached to the pool house. And we've specified on the plan that that would be abandoned. It would be filled in and abandoned, no longer in use. And then lastly, on Lot 2, we revised the erosion control barrier per Agent Summers, who had requested that the barrier follow the 100-foot inner riparian line to the Gulf River, which we made that change as well. That's my summary of the plan changes that we made.
Okay, I'm going to jump back to the actual site plan here. And why don't we just tackle these one by one here, and just looking at, just looking at lot 1 in particular. And I'll try and blow this up a little bit. I know that you at home can blow this up even more. So I'll leave it right there. Lot 1 being, as you already described, I won't go through it again, the separation of the 2 driveways now coming in, and so this is lot 1 that we're talking about. Just moving it along over here. Sorry for moving it around. This is the 50-foot buffer zone that comes around in red. So as you will see, there's no work being proposed. And any of this is the limit of the wetland area, so there's no work at all being proposed. In here, all of the green is what stays, and there's no work being proposed in the 50-foot buffer zone for lot 1 here. Greg, any more you want to talk to us about here about lot 1?
No, that's I can get into any specific detail you want, but you've outlined it.
Yep. Questions from the commission?
When we first reviewed this, Greg, this was what, I guess 3 years ago, all right? There was a great deal of discussion when it was a different proposal by a different individual. He wanted to cut down at least half the trees between the 2 homes and the marshland, and to cut down to 6 inches all of the wild grasses and things that were growing there, which was obviously not allowed. We made a very strong position on that. I'd just like to reiterate and make it very clear, certainly in the record, that we expect that the owners, the new owners of these 2 plots of land, also would respect the fact that the trees have to stay, and that cutting lawns and cutting the grass is something in the 50-foot zone we would not like to see in the future. Okay?
Understood. You actually issued an order of conditions that was recorded at the Registry of Deeds that had several conditions in it, and subsequently you've issued a certificate of compliance on that. So that is noted in the chain of title for both.
So if you could just make sure that the new owners are aware of that. We don't want to have any, because there's a great temptation here. It's a beautiful view looking up the river. And unfortunately, the view is pretty impeded by all the lovely old trees. And there's always a temptation to remove some of them to increase the view. And that's something we would not like to see.
I will make sure that he's aware of that.
Thank you.
If anybody wants to see the photos of the site, just let me know and I'll share my screen of the actual photos as well of that area that Eric was talking about. I think it's been very clear that an order of conditions already, as mentioned, has been recorded for the area here, and that is a no touch, no disturbance zone.
Jay, can you pull the map down toward the bottom of the driveways?
Yep. Over here?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry.
Greg, I assume the metasequoia tree that was mentioned by Chris at our last meeting, that is going to stay now?
Yes, it is. We do have a note on it that it would be pruned by an arborist, some of the lower branches to help get around it with a driveway, but the tree is proposed to stay. The cursor's on it right now.
I applaud
Yeah.
you for that. That's
Thank
very
you.
good. Very good. Well done.
Mhm.
No problem.
And then just to note, the existing tree legend is here as well, which is very detailed. So thank you for that.
Looks like an arboretum.
Yeah,
Black walnut.
Quite a property.
yeah.
It is.
Do we have any further questions from audience with respect to lot 1? Not seeing it, Jeff. Not seeing any as well.
Was that for me, Jay? I couldn't make out what you're saying.
You're muted, Jeff.
We can't understand you.
I think he was asking, were there any other questions from the audience?
No,
Yeah,
there's no question from the audience.
I don't see any further. Okay. Okay. Any further questions from the commission with respect to lot 1 only? Okay. All right. What do we need here? For lot 1, we need a notice of, we need an order of conditions and a stormwater permit. Do not need a variance because there's no work being done. Jay Pimpari would like to make a motion to approve, to issue an order of conditions for the project at lot 1 Black Horse Lane with a specific condition that, looking at the diagram, there is a fine line here on the 50-foot buffer zone, and I would like to make a condition that no motorized equipment in the form of excavation equipment, etc., backhoes, be along or in at any point in time in the 50-foot buffer zone. I think we discussed this at the last hearing that you could work uphill of that to doing the proposed porch, etc. There's a retaining wall. So again, just no excavation, heavy equipment in the 50-foot buffer zone at any point in time. It doesn't seem like it's actually going to be needed. Is there any comment with that condition, Greg?
No, that's perfectly fine.
Okay. That's the only condition I wanted to place on the project. Is anybody have any other condition or want to second the motion?
I'll second it.
Marion, whether I'll second the motion. Let's do this by roll call vote. All those in favor, issue an order of conditions. Please say, with a specific condition, please say aye. Jay Pimpari, aye. Chris?
Chris McFarland, aye.
Eric Eisenhower, aye.
Mary Ann.
Aye.
James?
James Roseback, aye.
Trish?
Trish Grady, aye.
That vote passes 6-0. Jay Pimpari, I'd like to make a motion to issue a stormwater permit for Lot 1 Black Horse Lane with the same condition that was placed on the order of conditions with the respect to the heavy equipment in the 50-foot buffer zone. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Eric Eisenhower. Roll call vote. Jay Pimpari, aye. Eric?
Eric Eisenhower, aye.
Chris?
Chris McFarland, aye.
Mary Ann?
Mary Ann Weatherald, aye.
James?
James Roseback, aye.
Trish?
Trish Grady, aye.
That vote passes 6-0. Okay, let's move on to lot 2 here. Let me move my screen over. I apologize. I'm sharing my screen and you're probably saying, don't move it so much. I'll try and get lot 1 a little bit more off the screen and focus in here. So lot 2, I'll move it around a little bit just to give you an idea. This is the 50-foot buffer zone that's going across. This is the existing pool house, the existing patio area. There is a proposed pool going in. The home is well outside the 50 and almost outside the 100-foot buffer. Same situation as before, and thank you for bringing it up, Eric. There is an order of conditions previously registered. On the site, there is to be no disturbance in the 50-foot buffer zone outside of the rehab of the existing pool house, patio, and discussion about the cesspool, etc. So giving that a quick overview, all of the stays, I'll turn it back over to you, Greg.
Yeah, so discussion in that 50-foot buffer, you've mentioned every change that we made in there. It's just additional notation regarding the existing pool house, abandonment of that cesspool. But the last piece was changing the erosion control barrier, which is the bold dashed line there, to be outside of the 100-foot riparian zone, which is a purple line, just right around there. Yeah. So previously we had that running along the tree line, but now it runs along the inner riparian zone.
It remains a very big patio, just observation.
It's actually what's proposed is slightly smaller than the patio that is out there today. There's a small portion, it's about 120 square feet just to the left of the existing pool house. That you'll see it gets cut off with the new fence delineating the pool.
And this proposed fence only because it's due to law that there needs to be a fence around the pool?
Correct.
So the fence would basically come along this way, and come around. Is this a fence as well?
Yes, that's a fence as well. And I would add that the proposed fence almost mimics the existing fence. There is another line there that's just underneath that proposed fence line.
So that pool fence is definitely going to be added in, because Massachusetts law says now that you can have an automatic pool cover. So are they definitely putting that fence in?
Yes, there's an existing fence everywhere where we're proposing a new fence. We're proposing a new fence, but there's an existing fence in all of those locations.
I'm going to jump back and share my screen a little bit while we discuss this a little bit, and certainly commissioners feel free to jump in here. Try and pull up some photos about the fence, etc. Oh, that showed it kind of a little bit in the back there. There's a picture of the 18 across. So this fence you're talking about, the existing fence and the existing pool.
What kind of
Okay, so
what am I thinking about? What kind of stormwater controls are you putting on the pool house? Have we talked about that before?
No, so the pool house itself, we weren't adding any stormwater controls because it's an existing structure. It's an existing roof. It just runs off the roof onto the ground surface. It would continue to do so.
Can you capture any of that?
What we have proposed is where the patio is, along the edge of the patio, the proposed patio, we've added a crushed stone trench to promote infiltration. There's no infiltration device where the patio currently is. In addition, the patio is slightly smaller in size by about 120 square feet. So we have added that. And then we've pulled the pool outside of the 50-foot buffer when it used to encroach to about 47 feet from the wetland resource.
Any other comments?
Okay.
If I'm not seeing any additional comments from the audience, if there's anybody from the audience who would like to ask a question or provide a public comment, please do that through the Q&A. Any comment on this?
So Jay, you're a little broken up there again.
Not hearing any further comment, I will make a motion to
Okay, we can't hear your motion.
Let's stop sharing my screen here. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Is that coming through? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Jay Papari, make a without not having any hearing any further comment on the project. Jay Papari, I'd like to make a motion to approve the issue an order of conditions for Lot 2 on Black Horse Lane with a specific condition that no, I can't say the 50-foot buffer zone here, but no work be performed obviously outside of the silt sock or erosion control barrier, which is at the limit of existing lawn now. No work should be done outside of the existing lawn area now as outlined on the plan with the proposed erosion control barrier. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Unless there are no further comments or conditions on that, we'll take that to vote. All those in favor, please say aye by roll call vote. Jay Papari, aye. Chris?
Chris McFarland, aye.
Eric? Eric?
Oh, we seem to lost
Maybe
him.
we lost him. Mary Ann?
Aye. Marianne Weatherald, aye.
James?
James Roseback, aye.
Trish?
Trish Grady, aye.
I think we lost Eric. Okay, that vote passes 5-0. Jay would probably like to make a motion to issue a variance because there is work in the 50-foot buffer with the same condition as the order of conditions. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Chris. All those in favor by roll call vote. Jay Papari, aye. Chris?
Chris McFarland, aye.
Mary Ann?
Aye. Marianne Weatherald.
James?
James Roseback, aye.
Trish?
Trish Grady, aye.
Great. And lastly, a stormwater permit. Jay Papari, make a motion to issue a stormwater permit with the same condition that was applied under the variance and the order of conditions. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Your motion and a second. All those in favor by roll call vote. Jay Papari, aye. Chris?
Chris McFarland, aye.
Marianne? Marianne?
Oh, I'm sorry. Marianne Weatherald, aye.
James?
James Roseback, aye.
Trish?
Trish Grady, aye.
All right, that vote passes 5-0 as well.
Jay, can you hear me?
I can hear you now, Eric, yes.
I'm back now. I lost you there for about 5 minutes. I vote aye too, all right?
All
We
right,
thought you-
well, we didn't
had
need
parental control.
Thank you very much, commissioners.
Yeah, thank you. Good luck.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Where are we here? That brings us to the conservation agent update. Jeff, do you want to give us a quick little update? What's anything going on?
So the thing I wanted to mention was, I don't know if everybody is aware, or maybe you are. I didn't actually send this to everybody, but Jay, did you send the decision about Russ Way to everybody? Because I just wanted to talk about that for a minute.
I did send that to everybody. Yep.
Okay. So the recommendation from Karis North, or special town council, was to issue the permits. She basically said to hold a brief hearing, issue the variance, the order of conditions, and the stormwater permit. I wrote her an email a few days ago, and I haven't heard back about if it's really that simple or there was some other type of procedural thing that we need to go by. So that was really what I wanted to mention. Was I'm still waiting to hear from her as to what we need to do, but that's going to be on the agenda for 2 weeks. I don't know if we need to re-advertise it or if there's more to it than just simply holding the hearing.
Yeah. Okay.
Is that
Yeah, you
hearing-
and I can talk further.
Is that a hearing with the owner?
Yeah, see, I don't know those specifics, like if it's just amongst us and we just issue the permits, or if it's open to the public for comments again. Those are the questions I had proposed to Karis, but I don't know yet. But
You're going to ask us to vote on it again?
Yeah, because I have a feeling.
I don't think I'd change my
opinion.
vote. I wouldn't change my vote at all.
My vote still stays abstain.
Yeah. I'm not sure where we go with this.
I don't know.
Mr. Campari, what do you think?
I don't
Well,
think we vote on it. I think we just vote to accept the order of the court.
I don't
Yeah,
think
so
we invite the public to comment either, because this is what the court has decided for us.
The court has made its decision. What the town has the opportunity to appeal the decision, should it choose to. And that's a discussion that we will have with town council. If town council feels that it's in the best interest to appeal the decision or accept the decision. And so, as Jeff mentioned, there are some emails out and some phone calls out to town council to try and get some clarity on that issue. And I can't say any more because I don't know anymore, as Jeff mentioned. We haven't heard back from town council. So when we do and we can provide some more clarity on it, we will. And if we have to hold a public hearing in a couple weeks to discuss that, we certainly will as well. But I don't have any further comment on it. It's not like we will be re-advertising and rehearing it. That's not the intention. But, there's not really much more to say other than we will get back when we hear more from town council. So that's how we'll leave that.
It would seem that not having an opportunity to fully kind of vet the order of conditions would be kind of unjust in the opposite direction.
Yeah, again, so we will await town council advice and when we hear that, we'll relay that. And if we have to have a public hearing, we will. And I wish I could tell you more, but until we hear back from town council, we'll just keep moving forward with everything else we have to do here.
Let me ask you, Jay, do we have any say at all in any legal recourse here, or is it up to the selectmen and council and the town manager from a structural viewpoint in this town?
Yeah, well, again, I'm not punting here. This is probably something that we would talk about, strategies, and we would go into, this would be done in a closed hearing. This would be a special meeting that was done outside of the public. This right now meeting is still open to the public.
Yeah.
And anytime we talk about strategy, et cetera, with respect to appeals, et cetera, that's usually not done in a public forum.
I
We could
withdraw my
certainly
question.
we could invite the town manager, we could invite the board of selectmen, we would invite town council, et cetera. But with all boards, not just this boards, it's not done in a public forum.
Okay,
When we start to
thank you.
talk about strategy.
Yeah.
Okay, Jeff, anything else?
So I just wanted to mention too, a while back, Jay brought up the fact that we didn't continue 589 Jerusalem Road to a certain date. So when I spoke with Karis, I asked her about that, what we should do procedurally. And she said, well, basically what we can do is hold a corrective vote, is what she called it. and then just continue it to another date certain. And she said to check with the applicant and see, you know, when they wanted to continue it to. I spoke with the applicant today, and she said it was some date in September. I think it was September 3rd or something, just as a date, you know, down the road sometime. So that's another thing for 2 weeks from now. But I just wanted to mention, in case you guys are wondering why it's on there again, it was because we forgot to continue to a certain date.
Okay. Anything else, Jeff? You and I talked a bit about a bunch of things, but
Yeah.
all right.
No, I think so.
Just okay. If not that, I'm going to move to just a quick little chair update. As I've been circulating some stuff there, the webinars from MAC. I sat in on the webinar. I guess must have been last night on the order of conditions dialogue. It was interesting, and you always learn something from some of the webinars. So I think there's Wetlands 101 coming up pretty soon again. Delineation of wetlands, etc. The town is paying for all of those webinars, so it's an easy process now. You just either, if you have a username and password, you can easily just go on and register yourself, or like I did, I just sent an email to Lindsay and she immediately just registered me for the workshop and Build a Town. So it's really simple. I would encourage you to look at the MAC sites, etc. And if there's something of interest, just register for that. What is our agenda looking like? I was going to propose something. I know it's getting late here, and everyone's probably thinking, "Oh my God, when is this meeting going to end?" If we do have meetings where we think it's going to go a few hours, is anybody opposed to starting a little earlier, like 6:30 or so in the night, rather than waiting till 7? Given our COVID situation here, so we don't go till 10:30 at night.
Fine with me.
I'm good with that.
Yeah. So that is something to think about. I'm happy to start earlier if others want to.
Justin, I'm happy to start earlier, but I'd have to call in because I'd still be driving. I don't usually get home much before 7. I'm already leaving early.
That's totally fine. If people want to call, and I appreciate you doing the Zoom platform. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing at this point. I was running into a little technical difficulties tonight. I still haven't figured out the whatever. I've been staring at myself for 3 hours now. I can't really see anybody else, but feel free to call in if you need to call in for if you're away from the house.
We've been looking at you for 3 hours too.
Yeah. I could give you some sign language if you want. Are there any 48-hour issues?
No.
All right. I know that I anticipate any day now the selectmen will be coming out with a notice requesting some new commissioners. I know that Alex, who's not with us, is tonight. Not with us live here, is going to be coming off of the commission whenever the re-announcements are made. We have an associate, and Kathleen, I'll talk to you separately about staying on and moving forward. But we will have, right now it looks like we will have at least 2 openings. So if anybody knows of anybody that wants to sit here Zooming or live, let us know. Jump into the Lion's Den. So, all right, any other comments? I really appreciate everybody hanging around here. I know it's late, it's the summertime, getting pulled away from families. I appreciate your dedication as chair here. I'm not going to be doing this chair thing forever. I've already talked to a couple of you about jumping up and sitting in the seat. I'm looking forward to that day. I'm trying to push these projects. Not push the projects, but not be here till midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning like we have in the past on one particular project. So I really appreciate you hanging around and sticking in there and doing the site visits and everything else. It's not going unnoticed. So thank you.
Welcome.
All right. Anything else? 40-hour issues? Nothing? Motion to adjourn.
Great meeting, Jay. Thank you.
Well done.
Thanks. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye, aye.
Bye.
Aye.
Great. Thank you. Have a great night, everybody.
Bye.
Enjoy the
Good
weather.
night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.